usually say what happens. And you can do things how you want after you see how it goes. Now there was two. These are the questionnaires. Questionnaires always goes under the prosecutor's desk. Okay, and then they'll get them and they can do handle. They get the first shot. I see one of them. Yep. Already with this. Yeah, the red pen. That's it. And that stuff will always be in this, you know. There's two letters here. Oh, shut up. Yeah, they're probably excused. But they're still on. Yeah, we're going to-
So vamos, there are ones that are excused.
Yeah, well, they weren't marked off here, there were letters that came in yesterday. But they'll be excused because they won't be.
The other ones will be here promptly.
And then what we want to do is go in here, number 6, because it probably is still here. Take 6 out.
You know why he's taking 6 out? Because he'd be 6 jurors. Yeah, 6 is down the list. That's what I'm reading.
The other one should be 23, right?
The other one, yeah, it's 23.
And her. Boss is here. Eddie is. What?
How do I know who's juror 1, 2, 3, and 4?
Well, just go sit down. That's all.
Oh,
Wait, but
oh
what's-
my God, Jesus.
You got training her too?
What chair is what? Is it 31?
How the judge tells it. This would probably be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
You can only hope that the judge does that, right? So voted judge, he was able to watch this, and was able to get a hold of this guy.
I don't know if you ever got a hold of him after he left or.
Doesn't sound like this guy's too intelligent anyway, huh?
And not when he called the police department.
Says, hey, that's my truck. I talked to the homeowner, he said, I parked his truck.
Yep.
Go take a look over your desk there. Come on.
Probably.
So I always go over here just to double check. Okay, 1, 2, 2 and 3. Next number should be 4.
Word.
And 5 is good. 6 should be out. 7, 8, 9. What? Yes, I'm trying to learn.
Pay attention.
You are going to learn, trust me.
He's gonna make it twister soon.
15, 16.
More.
Those are tough guys.
It was in there. 15, 16. 18, 19, 20, 24.
You know, your,
26,
Three Stooges or Four Stooges can be
27,
like,
28.
Right now?
What's that?
So people are watching us?
yeah, only because I don't wanna forget, so yeah. it's
That has
good.
been on the entire time? That's nice.
Volume 2?
Yeah.
You told exactly what we're asking.
It's on tape.
Not me.
See, this is the problem. There is no 34. Two, 3. Yeah, 34. We did.
Right there.
These are on here.
Good to go.
Now what I do, let me see if I can find it.
Here's your paper.
Good. I always think these together. These are the ones that we have that should be. These are the ones that won't be. So what happens is when they come in and check in, when they're ready to go, most likely we'll have a few that
Aren't gonna show.
aren't going to show. So you gotta pull their number out of here and put it here so you don't call the number. Juror number 16, Jesus. Oh, fuck. Is it no?
No, go ahead. Big shooter.
Talk about this kid too.
Go ahead, big shooter.
Okay, so that's, and now,
Get him over the way.
Everything feels bad for us.
yeah, next. Let's see, she made copies. Go make more copies because we had 2 more that were no shows.
Is the jury open?
Yes.
I just got little 10 bits.
That was smart,
instead.
actually, they're like, I didn't read your plan, right?
Yeah. Those doesn't have all the moments.
No, you're right, yeah. So that's like, coffee's not good. You do coffee.
So this is good. What I'm going to do is. Excuse there. Now we gotta go make about 8 copies.
Go right to, well, that was not even ordinary, and. And Tim, who do you distribute that list out to?
Okay, when he gets it up, the list will go to the juror list. The judge. Heather gets it. Defense attorney, prosecutor. On their table.
So 4.
And then you'll get 1, or sometimes 2, it depends. You can keep one up there if you're up there, but definitely want to keep one up here. And what happens, you try to keep this right here for the time being until everything's done and they're ready to go, then you can move it, go up there and then.
Tim, you stay right here
Yeah, they stay on.
for the defense attorney? Oh, prosecutor.
Prosecutor gets it first. then what happens is. What will happen, I'm just going to use this as an example. Okay, let's see, he'll tell you, okay, start calling. Usually he'll say, juror number one, call, and then what you do is, it'll be all in here, this one, all in here mixed up, pull it out. You go, juror number one, whatever number you pull out, I'll just use one.
Yeah.
There you go, juror number one, Amy Alpha. The judge will say, okay, have a seat, and he'll direct me where to sit. Well, then this is what we do, while you're standing here, so you remember, with juror number one. There. Okay, pull another number, okay, and then I'm just doing it again.
I got you. I got you.
Okay, juror number four, they just say, Jordan Brown. And you'll tell them to sit there, you put it there. Five, say, let's say five. Seven. And then what happened? You got them how they're sitting here, seated there. And then they'll do the next thing, you do, let's say eight. Nine, you're gonna tell them 8, 9, 10. You know, or whatever the juror number is. You'll call them out. You keep them like this. So now you know where they're seated. Because. Okay, because what happens is when the juror, now ask all these questions, and they'll be, all the other jurors will be here. They'll do it when they say, oh, we excuse juror.
Let's just say 5, you pull it right.
Yeah, we'll excuse, and they'll say, we'll excuse, Miss, let's see, Jacqueline Berger. She's juror 5, so what you do is just pull that out, put it in the dead pile, I call this dead pile, put it there, and then they'll say, call another one, you pick it out, and then you put it right where she, because. But this is.
Morning, guys.
Morning, Judge.
Morning, Judge. Just keeping them. And then what happens is, everyone will have a list like this, so they'll know who the juror is. And then when you say, okay, the judge will say, okay, juror, jury. I don't know how a judge. Oh, when you remove one juror, before they deliberate.
Oh, yeah, for the alternates,
Seven, and then you remove.
right.
I know Judge Green will say, have me pull it out and say, okay,
You know what, now that you say that, I don't know where my little beads are.
oh, okay. 'Cause I didn't know if you're, and we just say, this one,
Yeah.
how do we do it now?
You mean after the end of the trial?
Pardon?
After the end of the trial, before we send them to deliberate, you get down to 6 instead of the alternate? That's what you're talking about?
Yeah, when you
Yeah.
get rid of the alternate.
What I do is I've got numbered beads 1 through 7.
Okay, so okay.
I just pull out one at random and say, juror number 4,
Okay.
thanks, you're excused.
And then what you do is, you're before, then you're all set. You just put that in that file, there's where you do it. And then at the same time, Heather will be keeping track of who.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can pick up 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, the way,
5, 6, 7.
well, never gave it much thought in this courtroom. 1 would be closest to the witness. No, that wouldn't make sense, would it?
Thank you.
Yeah, we should do 1 closest to Tim and then 5 closest to Joe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's how we set it up here, so you keep
Yeah.
track of who, like, but we'll be in here too. And then once you select a jury, then you can put all the stuff, back in here. But you really don't need this. Sorry. He'll pull the one when it's time, so that's, and then everything you do. Go back. But you'll just put one.
Yeah, that's gonna throw me off. Because the seating is so much different than it used to be.
So. Judge, I don't know if you know, we had 2 letters or emails for excuse that came yesterday, like
Uh,
3:30.
The positive test,
Yeah,
yeah, I think I dealt with those.
okay. We locked them off, excuse that.
Yeah.
So, you just, put that off the side, and then these are the good ones, so.
And then if somebody doesn't show for whatever reason.
Yeah, when you get ready to go, if there isn't anyone here, pull it out here, and you can just mark on here, no show. So, no scratch it too. You can scratch it, but no show. Because once he tells, look at the jurors and asks, if they come, that's too late. Then, I don't know what's Ken doing here, right? But yeah, I usually, when I do it, I just, kind of stand here. And then I put my cards here. And I'll put the jury box like, right there, just have that there. And then when this is all done, whoever is selected, then you can put everything in, back in here. Put these things, you only have one here, and then we'll put one up over there. And when it's all done, when he's done selecting, you kind of go back over to the next one. Or you can stand over here, but I don't stand by the jurors. Only when, in the beginning, when you're calling jurors, you call me, because it's so much easier.
My plan is to stand with the judge. If he decides I'm going to judge.
Yeah, I mean, you got the chair there too, between them, because the defendant's gonna be over at that table. And then you got kind of, say when the jury does come in, if they deliberate.
Lost my needle.
Uh-oh. Ken was supposed to make copies of something, I don't know where he was.
1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Are you laughing?
No, that was.
Oh. So should I just put the iPad on the chair?
What?
You know how they used to do the books? And now they have iPads. Should I put one on each chair?
I guess, you know what? I wouldn't do it now until they get the jury stuff.
True, because if we.
Yeah, because, we moving people back and forth. Right.
Okay, so we'll wait.
But, yeah, and then what happens is, whenever Ken.
I couldn't find Heather, so I had to go downstairs.
Sorry. Michelle has a copy or two and just read off them.
Jamie has one, I'm checking them in.
Okay, so. I keep one, let me. I keep this one here.
Okay.
Okay. Then
I put one at the.
one at each, take rescues, yeah.
Fence. So. One for her.
Heather,
And then one for the judge.
yep. And one for the judge.
Hey, that mine went down.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Oh, so I didn't bring the prisoner?
Nope.
Oh, good. So, yeah, that's really all, And then I'm just thinking, hey, Ken?
Yep.
Like if it gets to deliberation, the jurors come in and out of
Yes.
here.
Oh, no.
It's answered. I'm gonna go make a copy of this. Yeah, I'm gonna make a copy of this.
That's, you got one over there.
Oh, you
Yeah, we
guys are
put one
good.
in.
Wow, thanks.
We put one all around.
There you go, Eric. I'll make a copy of this. There, you know.
And then, like I said, they'll check them in, you know, as they come in there. And send them, keep them in there, so. It's better to try it. If it even goes that far. But it's, I mean, and really, like I said, once this part's done, selection, it's nothing, you just. Because every judge does it a little bit different when they excuse one
Hello.
juror for the deliberation.
Why, what happened?
The judge for yourself. But he does it. And I don't care if it's a juror, certainly, I don't know. And Judge Martin hasn't had a juror. But that's, I mean, right now, that's really it. Is it, like I said, the most important thing is, you know, let's say pull juror one. And you pull it out, you know, whatever number it is, say, Deborah Gilbert. Juror number 12, Deborah Gilbert. You know, second, yeah, seat there, you know, not
Will they
first
refer
row,
to you?
close to the. To a man. There, so. Once dismissed.
I don't know. So, give me a copy of that. I just got Heather making me a copy of that 1 through 7. I think I'm just gonna set them right on that. Oh. And then I feel pertinent.
Morning, Mr. Bowditch.
Mr. Radke, even though he never responded to any of my phone calls, he appeared. He's here. We're ready to go.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Yeah. At least you're, good on your iPad, hey.
Well, you know, the education was worthwhile.
That's right, before I forget. Cause I forgot yesterday.
These are mine. Thanks, son. Oh, there's one.
So it would've cost me a couple dollars to mail it.
Oh, you know, Evan, if you call me, I'll always come pick them up.
Well, that's what Marlisa said, and she said, but I had them for you the other day, I knew you were coming.
Yeah,
So I had them for you, but I just forgot to give them to you, I'm not very good with my memory.
but just text me. I'll come pick up stuff.
Okay, well, thank you.
Makes it easier on me.
Or do you want me to stack them up right here, right now?
Yeah, we'll probably pass them out at some point, just like we're gonna do with the steno pads.
Oh, so don't put them over there. I have them lined up there.
That's all right, leave those there. Yeah, that's all right. I gotta see if I know how to turn this on.
So you do know that if you hold it that way, like you're doing it, it does show more?
Mhm.
Why is that saying that?
So what do online courthouse? How do I get into what I'm looking for? Home?
No, it down towards the bottom. Scroll down a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Judge, go please. And you gotta scroll again. And then whatever you wanna do, that's where you're gonna talk.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't have Joe
Why do I
Crow's.
gotta scroll all the time?
Yeah, it's.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
Internet in order to get it to change.
What do you mean, the internet's down?
No, I put everything on my computer. So that's not what I need.
I don't know.
Any Chrome or.
Yeah, I don't think there is internet out here.
So I'll have to, after you guys choose what you're doing, I'll put my.
Yeah, that'll work.
Second floor security.
How many jurors do we have, do you know?
What did I just count out there, Tim, on these jurors? 3, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 16.
Great, tell the attorney we're ready.
Okay, thank you.
Don't bring the jury in yet. Yeah.
He might be in one of the MIDC rooms across
He's in
the
his first
street from you.
MIDC. Okay, thank you.
It's gonna make a daddy proud.
Mhm.
Remember, we have to talk to Carol, find out how many we sent out, how many, we excused, how many didn't show, just for future jury panels, we got an idea what's going on.
That's what she said, so, that'll show you how many, and then the guys will have the final.
Holy cow, you see all the ones that moved?
Mhm.
Yeah, we'll have to compile that or.
Yeah, yeah.
1, 2, 3. I got 37 names on this to start with.
Mhm.
No, because you call, the only ones that they won't call.
Yeah, second floor security.
I'm not waiting while they prep.
Okay, sir.
And panel means chosen.
Okay, so I go.
No.
Yes.
She said to keep track of who's released, excused, or
Yes.
in hand.
That's ones that get sworn in. Yeah, I'm assuming that's for some kind of report that we do.
Yeah.
I would
she-
guess.
She did, yeah, she did.
It's always gonna be. Yeah, whatever, yeah.
So we're gonna have one over there.
Yeah, one will be front row, farthest that way,
Yeah.
which is gonna throw me because
Yeah.
I've always done it the other way. so.
Exactly, 'cause that's how she has it on her paperwork. You know?
Yeah.
Is it because they came up the opposite way?
Well, the reason I'm doing that is so number one sits over there and then less people have to walk, you know what I mean?
Okay, yep.
Yeah.
Did
What is-
you want the attorneys in here before the jurors?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to give them a chance to get their computer lined up, see if there's anything we gotta talk about.
Okay.
Mr. Bowditch met with the prosecutor, Mr. Bowditch asked for about 30 more seconds. Apparently he's trying to maybe cut it some kind of something with this defendant, so I'm getting in here as quick as possible. Sorry.
Let them, let,
And I have this for you.
just remind them that I'm getting paid to be here good money, but those 16 jurors are not. That tells you everything you need to know about the guy, doesn't it?
Case closed, real quick.
What more do you need to know? One of my favorite things is some people do not have a self-preservation bonus. They just, you know, most of us have this innate thing inside us that wants us to keep ourselves safe. And some people lack that. You know, they say what they think, they do stuff like that. It's like, you give any thought whatsoever how that's gonna work out for you?
Right.
I mean, God forbid he walked in and had to walk past a bunch of jurors sitting there. I mean, do you not care about that? Good morning.
Yeah.
I wanted to give you guys a chance to come in and fire up your iPads. So we can at least look like we know what we're doing before the jurors walk in.
She said that's what she was gonna do, because I'll be here for my dad.
All the time.
And the jurors will have them to follow along with too.
First time I've been in this building.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, welcome.
Well, thank you.
Tuck it in, Tim.
Oh, yeah. Joe, go threaten Bowditch with your taser.
Yes, sir.
We should probably remember to change the camera. with your-
I wonder if it's who you want to take at, the defendant, because that's who's on trial.
Probably the witness. Put it on the witness box. Or move it around if it keeps you from hitting the wall. You know, you can put it on me while we're doing all the introduction stuff if you want. It doesn't really matter.
One is witness.
Here. Thank you. I think it's right. Have a seat, Mr. Bowditch. I wanted to give us all a chance to get the iPads fired up so we can at least look like we know what we're doing with those before the jury comes in.
I got a little tutorial yesterday, thanks to him.
Are we ready to bring the jury in? Or the prospective jury in?
We do have a preliminary matter, Your Honor.
Well, hold on a minute, let's do this. People versus, you're on?
Yep.
People versus Robert Radke, appearances, please.
Your Honor, Kevin Foley on behalf of the people.
Your Honor, for the record, Jeffrey Bowditch appearing on behalf of with Mr. Radke.
Go ahead,
Your Honor,
Mr. Foley.
preliminary matter, the people do have a certified copy of the Michigan driving record of Mr. Radke. We got this certified from the Michigan Secretary of State. We'd ask it to be taken into evidence.
We have no objections to that, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Is that gonna be People's one?
The people's one judge.
Okay. Corporal, you guys can sit down. Yeah, just bring it up to Heather, and she'll take it from there. Anything else preliminarily?
That's it, Your Honor.
All right, we're ready to bring him in? Ready to bring him in?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thanks, Jamie.
When the jury comes in and goes out, stuff, they have to stand up. Your Honor, they still have pads and paper. They are using this.
Pad and papers for notes. iPad just gives them a chance to follow along with the jury instructions.
These replace the booklets.
Yep. Have a seat, people. Good morning. I wonder if any of you are as excited as I am. Probably not. Mr. Bowditch is. This is the first jury trial in this new building, and it's the first one that we've had at the 34th District Court in over 2 years since the COVID lockdown. So a lot of us have been waiting very impatiently to get to this point. So you guys are making this possible. So thank you very much. I got a nameplate. There is a nameplate there, right? No, I don't have a nameplate. Right, see, 20 years in the old building. My name is Brian Oakley. You're here at my invitation today. And once again, thanks for being here. So one of my jobs is to make sure that you folks get the information you need so that if you're ultimately picked as one of the jurors that make a decision on this case, you get the information you need. So a lot of the information I'm going to share with you is directly out of the Michigan jury instructions. And the lawyers, well, I'll show you. There are a lot of jury instructions. There's 3 volumes like this. So you don't get it all, thankfully. But there's a number of things, jury instructions that I have to provide to you today. And to do that accurately, we don't have a teleprompter like the politicians do, and I don't memorize them. So I'm going to be reading to you from the jury instructions. And I always apologize for that because I'm a people person, so I'd much rather engage. I'd much rather look at you while I'm talking to you, and I can't do that. So you're going to spend a little bit of time looking at the top of my forehead while I look at my screen in front of me. And I'm going to get started with that right now. We're also trying something new, first time. My jury book is on an iPad this time. It's the first time, first run. You folks that you're ultimately picked, you're going to get an iPad of your own.
so that you can follow along with instructions if you choose to. The attorneys have an iPad so they can follow along with what I'm doing. So it's a little bit of new technology. We used to do it with notebooks. I know that jury duty may be a new experience for some of you. Jury duty is one of the most serious duties that members of a free society are asked to perform. Our system of self-government could not exist without it. Safe to assume that you can all hear me? Okay, I'm pretty loud, so I'm not a good test. If at any point in any of the proceedings, any of you cannot hear, just, revert to grade school, raise your hand. The court officer, Heather, myself, one of us, you'll catch an eye and we'll figure out what's going on, and we'll increase the volume, remove you, do whatever we have to do. The jury is an important part of this court. The right to a jury trial is an ancient tradition and part of our heritage. The law says that both a person who is accused of a crime and the prosecution have the right to a trial, not by one person, but by a jury of 6 impartial persons. Jurors must be as free as humanly possible from bias, prejudice, or sympathy for either side. Each side in a trial is entitled to jurors who keep an open mind until the time comes to decide the case. A trial begins with jury selection. The purpose of this process is to obtain information about you that will help us to choose a fair and impartial jury to hear this case. During jury selection, the lawyers and I will ask you questions. This is called the voir dire. The questions are meant to find out if you know anything about the case. Also, we may need to find out if you have any opinions or personal experiences that might influence you for or against the prosecution, the defendant, or any witnesses. One or more of these things could cause you to be excused in this particular case, even though you may otherwise be qualified to be a juror. The questions may probe deeply into your attitudes, beliefs, and experiences. They are not meant to be an unreasonable prying into your private life. The law requires that we get this information so that an impartial jury can be chosen. If you do not hear or understand a question, you should say so. If you do understand it, you should answer it truthfully and completely. Please do not hesitate to speak freely about anything you believe we should know. During jury selection, you may be excused from serving on the jury in one of 2 ways. First, I may excuse you for cause. That is, I may decide that there is a valid reason why you cannot or should not serve in this case. Or a lawyer from one side or the other may excuse you without giving any reason for doing so. This is called a peremptory challenge. The law gives each side the right to excuse a certain number of jurors in this way. If you're excused, you should not feel bad or take it personally. As I explained before, there simply may be something that causes you to be excused from this particular case. I'll now ask you to stand and swear to answer truthfully, fully, and honestly all the questions that you will be asked about your qualifications to serve as a juror in this case. If you have religious beliefs against taking an oath, you may affirm that you will answer all the questions truthfully, fully, and honestly. Raise your right hands for me, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will truthfully and completely answer all questions about your qualifications to serve as jurors in this case? Thank you very much. You can have a seat. All right, I already mentioned Heather. Heather is my court recorder secretary. So her main function today is to make sure that everything that is said, every spoken word that takes place on my side of that little half bar that separates you and I, everything is recorded accurately. So it's important for you to understand that for a couple of reasons. Number one, if Heather can't hear you, she's going to give me the high sign and I'm going to ask you to speak up. And if anybody answers a question with a or a I'll probably catch it the first few times and gently, is that a yes? Is that a no? And if she starts shooting me dirty looks, then the gloves come off and I'm going to start saying, yes, no, please, because she's recording audio. So although the attorneys and I might see the shake that goes along with that grunt or that murmur and know what it means, the record will not. So we need you to stick to a yes or a no, or an I don't know is always an appropriate answer as well, but stick to a verbal answer. Court officers, we've got a number of court officers today. Currently, we've got Tim and Joe in with us. Ken's in the back. The court officer's job is to make sure we're all safe. I have no reason to think that's a problem today. So their next function is to be a conduit between the jurors and the court. So if you're in the jury assembly room, for example, and the temperature's too hot or it's too cold, or there's no cold water available, or whatever's going on, just let one of the court officers know. They'll let me know what's going on and we'll address it as soon as we can. I'm going to ask the attorneys to introduce themselves and any prospective witnesses they might have, and I'll do that at this point, starting with the prosecution.
Thank you, Honor. Good morning. My name is Kevin Foley. I'm the Huron Township attorney. With me today is Caitlin Foley Carter, attorney for Huron Township as well. Mary Allen will be a witness. She's out in the answer room. Dispatcher Amanda Ion will testify, and Corporal Brian Castelli from the Durham Police Department. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Mr. Bowditch.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jeff Bowden. I am the local lawyer, and I'll be serving as defense for Mr. Robert Radke. Should I introduce Mr. Radke?
You just did. Yeah.
Robert Radke.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so this is a case, two criminal charges. Drove while license suspended and failed to stop or identify after a property damage accident. Obviously, you heard that it involves Huron Township. Do any of you prospective jurors know any of the people that have been introduced today? None? Yes, ma'am. First of all, give me your name. Grisky? Kritzky. Like Kritzky Lumber, Kritzky, yeah, okay. I'm gonna guess you probably know the officer.
I know the officer and I know you.
Okay, all right. And understanding that my role today is more of an overseer than anything else, the fact that I do business with the Kritzky family and have for years, is that gonna affect your objectivity today? All right, and how about the fact that you know Corporal Castelli? All right, do you have a personal relationship with him, or just because he's an officer in the area and your family's been in business forever? Okay. Okay, all right, okay. Anyone else? Okay. So there's no reason for me to think that this trial is going to last more than what I call one business day. Anybody have any reason why you can't stick with us today for a full day? All right. How about health issues? Any of you have hearing issues? All right, ma'am, your name? Small, like not big, but small. And can you hear me okay? All right. So once again, I'm really loud, but if it becomes an issue, let us know. So for example, maybe you're juror number 1 and we've got you in the chair way over there, but you're having trouble hearing what's going on in the witness stand. We can swap you around or something. Okay, we'll make arrangements. How about back issues? Anybody notice that I don't sit down? I haven't sat, I think it's going on 8 or 9 years now. My chiropractor told me that take the pressure off my spine, don't sit down all day at work, so I don't. So I'm very sympathetic if anybody's got a back problem or a leg problem where you got to move once in a while, you just can't park on your butt and stay there for hours at a time. Anybody got one of those issues? A couple of you. So if you're actually seated and it's just time for you to move, once again, grade school, just raise your hand and just say, Judge, I need a break, I got to move. We can do that. We can build that into the system. I might say, can you wait a few minutes till we finish, where we're at? But we'll accommodate you to that extent. Any other health issues that the attorneys and I should be aware of? All right, a big one. Any of you that do not live in Huron, Belleville, Van Buren, Sumter, or Romulus? Great, you all belong here. Back row. Name first. Brown. Mr. Brown, where do you live? City of Wayne? How in the world did you make it in here today? Okay, like you got the notice and then you moved. All right, that's excusable. Goodbye. As much as we want you, we don't want you. Have a nice day. Make a note, we gotta let 29th District Court know he's in their city now. They can use it. Okay. Other than Mr. Brown, you all belong here today, right? Well, from where you live. Okay. Now, see, I just found a problem with the screens. If I don't touch the screen, it goes blank on me. All right, this is a criminal case. I alluded to that earlier. The paper used to charge the defendant with a crime is called a complaint. The complaint in this case charges that the defendant, Robert Radke, charges him with the crimes of drove while license suspended and failed to stop or identify after a property damage accident. The complaint reads as follows. Charge 1, drove while license suspended. The complaining witness says that on the date and at the location described, the defendant, contrary to law, did there and then within the township of Huron operate a motor vehicle on a highway or other place open to the general public or generally accessible to motor vehicles, including an area designated for the parking of motor vehicles, when the person's operator's or chauffeur's license or registration certificate had been suspended or revoked, whose application for license had been denied, or who had never applied for a license in violation of 257.904. To wit, defendant Robert Radke operated a motor vehicle on West Road in New Boston, Huron Township, when his operator's license was suspended. Charge 2, failed to stop or identify after a property damage accident. Complaining witness says that on the date and at the location described, the defendant, contrary to law, did there and then within the township of Huron, knew or had reason to believe that he had been involved in an accident upon public or private property that is open to travel by the public, failed to just immediately stop his vehicle at the scene of the accident, and failed to remain there until the requirements of section 619 were fulfilled, or immediately report the accident to the nearest or most convenient police agency or officer to fulfill the requirements of section 619A and B, if there is a reasonable and honest belief that remaining at the scene will result in further harm and direct contravention of 257.618 of the Michigan Vehicle Code. To wit, defendant did know or had reason to believe that he had been involved in an accident upon public or private property that is open to travel by the public, and failed to immediately stop, remain on scene, and failed to identify himself pursuant to section 6.19A and B. Specifically, defendant Robert Radke caused his own vehicle to crash into a ditch located in front of 28724 West Road in New Boston, Huron Township. The driver's airbag and both side curtain airbags were deployed, and the hood was knocked out of alignment from the crash. Robert Radke failed to remain on scene and failed to fulfill the requirements of 6.19A and B. The defendant has pled not guilty to these charges. You should clearly understand that the complaint I have just read is not evidence. A complaint is read in every criminal trial so that the defendant and jury can hear the charges. You must not think it is evidence of his guilt or that he must be guilty because he has been charged. A person accused of a crime is presumed to be innocent. This means that you must start with the presumption that the defendant is innocent. This presumption continues throughout the trial and entitles the defendant to a verdict of not guilty unless you are satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that he is guilty. Every crime is made up of parts called elements. The prosecutor must prove each element of the crime beyond a reasonable doubt. The defendant is not required to prove his innocence or to do anything. If you find that the prosecutor has not proven every element beyond a reasonable doubt, then you must find the defendant not guilty. A reasonable doubt is a fair, honest doubt growing out of the evidence or lack of evidence. It is not merely an imaginary or possible doubt, but a doubt based on reason and common sense. A reasonable doubt is just that, a doubt that is reasonable after a careful and considered examination of the facts and circumstances. I'm now going to ask the court officers to start drawing names, and we'll seat you up here as prospective jurors and start voir dire.
Juror number 12, Deborah Gilbert.
Ma'am, you're all the way up front here.
Okay.
And watch your step. There's an incline ramp right here by me.
And take the end seat.
All the way, yep.
Okay.
You're going to be closest to the corporal when you get seated.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Back row,
Front row, ma'am.
Juror number 7, Michelle Cordano.
Ma'am, say it.
Cordell.
Cordell? That was a good test name.
Yeah.
So if Officer Krova mispronounces your name, please correct him, because the attorneys and I are going to pick up on how he says it. If you don't correct it, we're all going to call you the wrong name. Right? Yep. Right next. Yep. Cordell, right?
Cordell.
Cordell. Yell, like loud. Cordell. Got it. Thank you very much.
Juror number 11, Michael Frazier. Juror number 37, Cami Zoltansky.
How do you do? How do you do? Zokansky?
Juror number 26, Jessica Radcliffe. Juror number 25, John Pavlik. Pavlik. Sorry.
Pavlik? Thank you.
Juror number 29, Doreen Small.
Feeling good, Lon. All right, usually at this point, I tell you to wipe the smiles off your faces, but most of the masks, I can't tell if you're smiling or not. So you haven't dodged the bullet yet. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna start the process of voir dire that I explained earlier. I'm gonna ask some questions, the attorneys are gonna ask some questions, and these folks are gonna answer those questions. So what I'm gonna ask you to do is to yourself, as the questions are being asked, answer them to yourself. Because if you replace one of these 7 folks up here, because they're excused for whatever reason, and you replace them in that chair, the first thing I'm gonna say is, were you listening to the questions that were asked? And if so, anything you should share with us. Because once again, as I mentioned earlier when I was reading to you, the whole process of voir dire is for one purpose. It's so that we can pick a jury that is as much of a blank slate as we can get when we start giving testimony. We want people that are purely objective. They don't have any reason to favor the prosecution or the defense on this particular case. So we're going to ask some questions that are, as I said before, going to be personal and prying. And it's not because any of us are writing a book. It's because that question, we believe, is necessary to get to that goal of a fair, objective jury. So we'll start that right now. I explained to you folks what the types of charges are. Drove a license suspended and leaving the scene of an accident. Have any of you been involved either as victims of an accident, maybe you were hit by somebody, or you were the cause of the accident? Any of you been involved in criminal cases involving things like this? Any of you? No? Okay. How about, yes, ma'am?
A family member was involved in an accident.
Okay. All right. So Ms. Zoltansky, did I get it right?
Yeah.
All right. Was that recent? Old news? Okay.
Years ago.
Bad accident? Okay. Now, I assume, because I haven't heard anything about it, I assume there were no injuries in this accident. That's not the situation. All right. So although they're similar from the standpoint motor vehicle accident, from there, I think it's probably a vastly different situation. Anything about your relative's accident that would cause you to be less than fair and objective today?
No.
Okay. All right. How about law enforcement relationships with law enforcement? Do any of you have close friends or family members that work in law enforcement?
Yes.
Okay, a couple of you. Let's work around backwards. Ms. Small, how about you?
Pardon me?
Let's start with you.
Yes, I have some very close friends, family that are police officers, probably a handful of them.
Okay. Any Huron Township officers?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. And I think, Mr. Pavlik, you had your hand up?
Yes,
What's the relationship?
just friends from when I lived in different areas.
Okay. Anybody from Huron
No, sir.
that you're friends with? Okay. Ms. Radcliffe, you didn't have your hand up, I don't think. All right, so I think that gives us to Ms. Gilbert.
Yes, my husband and Van Buren Township police officer were partners at Belleville Airport.
Okay, okay,
Good family friend.
sure. Ms. Cardinale, did you have your hand up?
Yes.
Everybody knows the cops.
But I'm like close friends with teachers.
Okay, all right, so nobody local. Okay. And Mr. Frazier, you?
Yes,
Tell me about it.
friends from Huron Township.
Okay. Are you a personal friend of the corporals?
No, sir.
Okay. And Ms. Soltansky, any relationship with the police?
A friend, I played with the EMU, I believe they are.
Okay.
EMU police.
All right, once again, not local. All right. So this gets into dangerous ground here, but I'm going to say it this way now because it's the way I think. those of you that have personal friends that are cops, then would you agree with me that they're human? Some cops are very truthful, some cops aren't. Some cops are warm and fuzzy, some cops aren't, right? Would you agree with me that they're just like teachers or doctors or mechanics, they're people, and they run the gamut from here to here? Would you agree with me?
Yeah.
Okay. And none of you know this particular officer personally, correct? All right. We're not going to hear testimony from any other officers, I assume. Okay. So the fact that you know and like and have personal friends that are police officers, would that mean that you would give this law enforcement witness more credibility than you would if he was an auto mechanic or school teacher or whatever? Would you automatically give him the benefit of doubt on believability just because he wears a badge for a living? No? Would you judge him in his testimony the same way you would judge anybody else from any other walk of life?
Yes.
Okay, that's what we're after for fair and objective. Okay. Once again, blank screen, bear with me. Maybe I talk too much and don't read enough. Oh, this is a good one. Any of you ever served on a jury before? Holy cow, that's unusual. Ms. Rackle, let's start with you.
Was at the Frank Murphy Hall of Justice, and it was 7 days, rape.
Oh, yeah, this is not going to be 7 days. Promise, promise, promise. How long ago was that?
That would have been in, 2016.
Okay. And this is a question that always, the attorneys are always thinking. In that case, don't tell me what the decision was, but did the jury make a decision?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Mr. Pavlik, how about you? Where'd you serve at?
Frank Murphy Hall of Justice.
Long time ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
2 times, actually.
How many?
Twice.
Twice. Okay. And once again, don't tell me what the decision was, but in both those cases, did the jury reach a decision?
First one we did not, second one we did.
So batting 500. Okay. All right. Ms. Small, did you have your hand up? All right. Ms. Zoltansky?
Yes.
Where at?
Frank Murphy home.
All right.
Sorry.
Recently or way back?
Can't remember exact year, but I believe on 2014.
Okay. All right. Was there a decision reached?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yes, ma'am.
I lived in Illinois for a while, DuPage County, Cook County, twice at Circuit Court in Detroit.
Okay.
Now-
Wow. This is really, really unusual. No, seriously. Usually, if I've got 7 people, if I've got 1 or 2 that had experience somewhere, and what was that? 4 trials?
This is number 5 now.
Yeah, that's unusual. Lucky you.
I know. Maybe I'll win the lotto.
Were decisions reached in those trials?
All of them, yes.
Okay, all right. And did I miss anyone? Okay, those of you that are frequent flyers, this is not your first rodeo. Anything about your past jury experience that would cause you to be less than fair and objective to both sides today? Anybody? Anything that we should talk about? All right, so you heard me when I was reading instructions to you, you heard me reference the presumption of innocence. You've all heard that phrase. You've seen it on the TV court shows and the cop shows, presumption of innocence. I want to talk about that. Quite simply, what that presumption means is as he sits there right now, he's not guilty. All right? Mr. Radke is not guilty. So, for example, if Heather came up here and whispered in my ear and said, your wife's on the phone, you got to go. And I said, all right, folks, time to make a decision. Go. Right now, if I told you, go, officer, take him back in the jury deliberation room. Here's the jury verdict form. Tell me, is he guilty or is he not guilty? What would your decision have to be? It's not a trick question. Well, maybe it is. Mr. Frazier. Why? Zero. He started out with a presumption, and I didn't give the prosecutor a chance to show you anything to kill that presumption off, did I? Quite simply, that's what he means. He starts not guilty. It's Mr. Foley's job to prevent to you the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt, we're going to get to that in just a minute, that convinces you that he is guilty. Any of you not comfortable with that concept? Maybe thinking, well, he wouldn't be here if he wasn't guilty of something. Well, he might be guilty of a lot of things, but Mr. Foley's job is to prove to you that he's guilty of the things that he's here for today. Drove while license suspended, revoked, or denied, and failure to stop and identify an accident. What, you know, if he was mean to his dog last week, might make him somebody you wouldn't want to have dinner with, but it has nothing to do with today's trial. Clear? Understood? And you're all comfortable with that? All right, let's talk about reasonable doubt. You folks are all of a certain age. All right? That's my nice way of saying some of you are old. You've all made some pretty important life decisions, haven't you? Have you ever decided what house to buy or what neighborhood to live in? Anybody do that? Anybody decide who you wanted to marry or maybe unmarry? Right? These are important life decisions, aren't they? And how do we, as mature, rational people, make important decisions? We gather up the evidence, right? We do a little cost-benefit analysis maybe, and we weigh things out. We apply our reason and our common sense to that decision-making process. Agreed? All right? So maybe that's not the same process when we're deciding, you know, do we wear the red tie today or the blue tie today? Probably a different process. And that's what we're asking you today to do. We're not asking you to go out and find the evidence. That's going to be provided from the prosecutor. And I suspect, because I know Mr. Bowden, he's probably not going to sit there and say nothing and present no evidence, although that's defendant's prerogative. They don't have to do anything. The two of them could play hangman all day long. Mr. Bowden could fire up that iPad and find some kind of a game, and they could play iPad games today. They don't have to even participate in this trial as far as ask questions, present evidence. They don't have to do that. You understand that? No burden. Mr. Radke, Mr. Bowden have no burden today. The burden is all on Mr. Foley. He can handle it. But the burden's all on Mr. Foley. So the evidence is going to come from the witness stand, maybe some documents, maybe there'll be some digital evidence. The evidence will be presented to you. You don't have to go look for it. And I'm going to suggest to you, don't go look for it. If there's some discussion about the scene of the accident, and one of you wants to bring it up on your Google map or something like that, don't. The decision-making is supposed to happen only based on what you get in the courtroom from the witnesses that testify, or the exhibits and so forth. Then you take that evidence, I'm going to throw you back in the jury deliberation room at some point and say, make your decision. Now you apply that reason and common sense, the same way you decided house, neighborhood, spouse, almost right. And you apply your reason and common sense that way. If after you go through that process, you have a doubt about one of the elements of a crime, you're reasonable people. You've applied a reasonable process to the task. If you have a doubt, then by definition, I would suggest you that it's a reasonable doubt. Understood? It's not beyond any doubt, because I got news for you. I've identified myself today. I'm not sure that there's anything I could do to prove to you beyond any possible doubt what my name was. I could show you documentation. Could it be forged? Possibly. So beyond any shadow of a doubt is a much higher burden than beyond a reasonable doubt. Understand the concepts. Comfortable with applying those concepts today. All right, I've talked enough. I'm going to turn this panel over to you two.
Your Honor, if we could, Mr. Frazier, we don't have a questionnaire on Mr. Frazier. Could he give us some of his background, sir?
Sure. Just get to know us, or let us get to know you.
I currently work in Detroit Diesel in their 9 months. Here at high school.
Have you served on any boards or commissions for Huron Township or Huron Schools?
No.
Let's say if there's a Frazier on the school boards I represent.
Oh,
it's not you.
No, sir. Ran for office before.
Okay, maybe that's why I'm familiar with him.
And you lost?
Yes.
Lucky.
Yeah. Lucky.
Thanks for being willing to serve, but you
Yeah.
dodged the bullet.
Yeah.
Local office, no thankful there.
I have no further questions of this panel, Your Honor.
Mr. Bowditch, questions for this panel?
Just a few, Your Honor. And Judge Oakley was right. I will participate, and so will Mr. Radke. Are all of you pretty much longtime residents of Huron Township, more than 10 years? Ms. Radke.
Right, but yeah, I'm a local resident of Ronnie's, not here.
Oh, but you're local.
Yeah.
And I guess what I'm trying to get at you've all driven these roads. Everybody driven on a dirt road, everybody driven on a paved road around. You know what our roads are like. That may become important. And I want to make sure, so you're all drivers. All right. None of you know Mr. Mack. You know, y'all seem like seven reasonable people to me. I'm not sure I have any more questions. But thank you.
I did talk too much.
Oh, no, just thoroughly.
All right, let's talk about challenges. For cause, Mr. Foley.
No challenges for cause, Your Honor.
And Mr. Bowditch, cause.
None for cause, Your Honor.
Mr. Foley, peremptory challenges.
Your Honor, we would thank and excuse Ms. Cordial.
Juror number 2, or seat number 2, I should say. All right, Ms. Cordial, you're the first one excused, so you get to hear my lecture. You are free to stick around if you want to watch the process. It can be pretty interesting, especially if you're not nervous about being part of it. So you're free to do that. If you need a letter to actually show an employer, somebody that you showed up today and you did your duty, then are you guys doing the letters? Okay, so just catch one of the court officers before you leave. Lastly, if you get a notice from the federal court in the next calendar year, they could care less that you were here today.
Okay.
Wayne County Circuit Court or from us, 34th District Court, the fact that you were here today, you served your responsibility for 1 calendar year.
Okay.
So we probably won't do that because the system, the computer usually picks it up, but just in case it happens, if you want to use that as an excuse, you can. Thank you for your time. Watch your step on the ramp.
Juror number 24, Stephanie Noda.
How do you do, ma'am? Noda?
Yeah.
If you could fill that vacant chair, it would be appreciated. Watch your step on the ramp. Thank you, folks. Mr. Bowditch, any peremptories?
None, Your Honor.
All right. All right, Ms. Noda, have you been listening to the question?
Yeah.
All right, have you answered them in your head?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna just go shotgun. Law enforcement relationships? None to worry about. Anything in your background, maybe a family member that was in an accident that would cause you to be less than fair and objective on these types of cases?
No.
Okay. Anything that we should know about?
Nothing.
Comfortable with the presumption of innocence as I've explained it, reasonable doubt?
Yeah.
All right. And this is my favorite question. I think it's probably like, grandma saying you go out and pick your own switch. But this is my favorite question. If it wasn't Mr. Radke in that chair, it was your favorite grandson or somebody you love dearly in that chair, would you want somebody with your mindset in the jury box?
Yeah.
All right. Does that question, would you all answer that question with a yes? And if you wouldn't, no judgment here. We need to know. If for some reason you wouldn't want your mindset in a jury of a loved one, we need to know that. You're all okay with that? Okay. Any questions for Ms. Noda?
No questions, Your Honor.
Just briefly, Ms. Noda, have you been a resident of the area for a while?
Yeah.
Are you a driver?
Yeah.
And you've driven all these roads?
Yeah.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions.
All right. For cause, Mr. Foley.
None for cause, Judge.
Mr. Bowditch for cause.
None for cause, Your Honor.
Peremptory, Mr. Foley.
None, Your Honor.
Peremptory, Mr. Bowditch.
No, Your Honor, I believe we have our jury.
I believe we do. Now you folks can smile because you did dodge the bullet. But that gives, you're not gone yet. You're still mine. I'm going to release you soon though. Now that you're off the hook, honestly, how many of you got your notice and thought things that you wouldn't want small children to hear? Anybody? All right, just one guy. How many of you thought something like I did, like, oh, wow, good, jury trial? Okay, and that's not too unusual. It's usually one or two of each, and everybody else is like, eh. Have any of you served before? Okay, the two that we didn't want to do it again. Did you serve downtown?
Yes, federal,
Oh my goodness. So that might have been weeks or months.
4 days.
Okay, you got lucky then. How about you? Yeah. So actually, it was an ugly case. You were probably down there for a number of days, right? You had to pay to park. You lost money. If you paid to park and you bought lunch downtown, you lost money that day, didn't you? Right? Okay. And I go through this little process so I can say this. You are going to get a phone call in the next couple of months by somebody that you know that got a notice for jury duty and knows that you were here. And they're going to say, how did you get out of it? Now, if they got a federal notice, just wish them luck. All right. If they got a notice for downtown, then tell them to take a good book and plan on losing money. But if they got a notice for their local district court, tell them it's not that big a deal. Okay. It's a big deal as far as it's an important job, but almost always, I don't know what number this is now, but I've got a list of how many jury trials I've had, but I've been doing this for over 20 years. And there's only been 3 circumstances in all those years where a jury trial went beyond 1 business day. 2 times we went late into the nighttime. I think one of them we went on past 9 p.m. The jury decided to do that. I didn't force anybody to work that. The jury decided. And then 2 times we came back for day 2. The one time they came back for day 2, and once we got started again, we let them start deliberating. It took them less than 10 minutes to make the decision. They just need to come back with fresh minds, and they made the decision. The second case that came back for 2 days, I think was done in a couple of hours. It's very unusual for a district court case to take more than 1 day for a jury trial. So I want you to try to, if you can, if your conscience will allow you, I want you to try to be a good ambassador for the jury system. If somebody calls you and say, I know you went down and you didn't have to serve, so how'd you get out of it? Try to encourage them to go in with an open mind. Because as failed, as faulty as our criminal justice system is, it's still the best one in the world. This is still the best criminal justice system anybody has come up with. And a very, very big part of that is this process right here. Because I could be the biggest jackass ever to wear a robe, and you don't have to be tried by me if you're charged criminally in this venue. That's a blessing. Because everybody has a right to say, I don't want one person making the decision. I want a jury of my peers. And that's one of the biggest things about our system that I'm proud of and proud to be a part of it. And I'll, as a disclaimer, and I'm talking too much again, but I've missed you people so much. Before I took the bench, I was not a fan of jury trials. I was a defense attorney, and I was involved in a couple of cases that I thought went really bad. One of them, a short version, I heard the jurors, apologies ladies, but it was 6 ladies. There was no men on the jury. And I heard them when they started into the deliberations room. I could hear them exchanging recipes. And I remember I was livid because it was a drunk driving trial, pretty serious consequences to my client. And I was livid the fact that they were taking it, you know, that cavalier, that they were in there talking about recipes. When I got here, I started going in after the jury trials and talking to the jurors that actually served. And probably 3 or 4 trials in, I completely changed my assessment of what was going on with that recipe exchange. Those women, number one, were either just breaking the ice, getting to know each other before they got down to some serious business, or probably more likely, they decided very quickly that my guy had done it, and they just didn't want us to know. It only took them a couple minutes. So they were killing some time. There's no doubt in my mind that the vast majority, and I say vast majority, I'm talking like high 90% of the people that have served on my juries were very, very serious about it when they went in the jury room. They might not have wanted to be there. They might have glared at me through an entire trial. I can still see this woman's face in my mind because all through the trial, she gave me the bad eye because I didn't excuse her. And she just gave me the stink eye all day long. She didn't look at the attorney. She didn't look at the witnesses. She just gave me the stink eye. But when she went in with her fellow jurors and had to make a decision, she took it seriously and she played her role in the process. I don't think she'll ever vote for me, but she took the jury duty seriously. So I thank you for being here, reluctantly or otherwise. And once again, you're free to stick around and watch what happens. You can go home and watch us live on YouTube right now. But be my ambassadors. If somebody gets a notice to come to their local district court, tell them to just go in with an open mind and play their part, because it is a hugely important part. And with that, I thank you. And I'll give you a minute if you want to file out, I'll give you a minute to do that. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to swear you folks in, and then I'm going to give the attorneys a break, and I'm going to have my tech guy. Did we lose him? Why don't you call him? I'm going to have my tech guy go over with you how these work. All right. Now, once again, you don't have to use this. Just like in the old days when I gave you a 3-ring binder to do this. If you want to just put that on the floor underneath your chair and just listen to what's going on, that's fine. But I am not an auditory learner. I hate it when somebody tries to read something to me, because when somebody reads to me, my eyes glaze over and my ears don't work anymore. I've got to see things to get it into my head. So I'm a visual learner. So if I was sitting in your chair, I would grab this like a lifeline so I could follow along as some, judge like me is reading jury instructions to you. You can follow right along. But once again, if that's distracting to you, then don't use it. All right. And while I'm talking about it, we're going to pass those out at some point. Same thing. You can keep notes. I'm a note taker. I wrote myself 2 notes before I left the house this morning because I got a terrible memory. So if you're a note taker and it would help you to take notes as you're hearing testimony, we've got the technology available for that, pens and paper. But once again, if notes are distracting to you, ignore them. Just don't worry about it. So what I'm going to do now is I'll excuse you to take a break. We'll give you your tutorial on the iPads, and then we'll give you a chance to hit the restroom and so forth. And then we'll get started with some more instructions, unfortunately, and we'll get into testimony. Perfect timing, Fred. He was hovering out there waiting for that, wasn't he? All right. And if you want to stick around to hear what he says about the iPads, that's great. If not, then you're free to go. Thank you, Fred.
Yes.
I'm assuming we've all probably seen one of these before. Well, wait, we're gonna get it open. Someone's already got it. Button in the center, turn the screen on. Or if you're rolling sideways, it'll be on the side here. Okay, on the screen, there's a singular app that you can hit to bring it directly to the page you need to be brought to. Little circle over, circle. Just tap, don't hold, otherwise you bring up Siri.
I didn't hire him. I'm a low tech girl, so this might not work for me. Okay.
You're ready. I hit just go through your instructions.
Okay.
Take you to this page. And there's the right situation. Then what you have to do.
Okay.
You'll find the menus under the sub menu. You're holding it in landscapes and logos. You'll find them along the side. Anyone else having a particular issue I can direct you? Want it sideways? Yeah. Those direct you to which ones you have to go to when you have to go to them. questions or anything I could make easier for you if I did?
Well, what are we gonna, he's gonna tell us what to click.
He will tell you what to click. Right, Heather?
Thank you.
He's gonna tell them which part of the sub menu to click, correct?
Hopefully,
I mean,
yeah.
You're not gonna know
Well, I
otherwise.
know the first couple we've already done.
Mhm.
I think that honestly is just for them to read over as he's reading with them.
Okay. But he'll be using it as well,
Yes.
so I think that'll probably.
Yeah.
So if I had to direct them to the first one, would you want to say elements of crime charge? Instructions to avoid it.
Then yes, yeah, I think so, yeah.
Kind of interesting. One of them that I was on, Wednesday in Chicago, the guy went through a stop sign. And I guess they had, you know, these poisons, themselves. And cops saw the guy take the stop sign. And he had dropped it back. He had like these big sacks of.
For those of us who got it up already, the first one we probably want to click on our elements of crimes charge. There's one down on the left hand side. Yep. Take a little bit of a learning curve, but it's pretty easy once you get it.
We're just trying to figure out where we are. Because we have them right now on the elements of crime.
We'll get back to the. Yeah, that's what I'm looking
Yeah.
for. Yep.
Or are we still on procedural?
I gotta follow along. Yeah, we're right here.
We're still on procedural instructions on page 2.
Yep. Are you done? You ready?
They're just gonna get there now. I want to make sure they know how to do the pages, they know how to work the basic out.
Yep.
Yeah, don't use the page tab at the top, it appears not working. Yeah, just swipe the screen down.
No.
I don't know why, it's just like I keep track of my weapons.
Yep. Yep. Anyone else having struggles?
Even for me.
And once again, folks, if that's distracting, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We all take information in differently. Yeah, but trust me. I'm not a tech guy. Would you like a break before we get the attorneys back though? Okay. Yeah. And folks, just so you know, especially you ladies, if you want to leave your coats and your purses here, there will never be a time where we don't have court personnel here. And usually more than one. So if you want to take it with you, that's fine. If you want to leave it there, it's fine too. Good. All right, thanks, Fred. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, really? One more. I'm slow, I had a knee replacement. Well.
When was the surgery, ma'am?
Oh, wow. Yeah, good luck. Hey, Fred, on your way out, tell one of the other guys. to keep ahead.
One of the security guys?
Yeah, please. Oh my God, Betty White's cause of death revealed. Like,
Yeah.
who cares? You know?
She was 99.
Yeah, what are you gonna tell me? She was murdered?
The sad one is Bob Saget. Did you see that?
Yeah. Yeah, and the last I knew, they're just waiting for doctor reports to come back because there's no other,
Right.
no indication that there's anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, she died from a stroke.
Mhm.
I just gave the jurors a break. Did you just trip?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Oh. Yes. Yeah. Are you aware you have a ring? Yeah, he's another company. So this does bring like.
Hey, Jamie, do me a favor, give Bowditch your heads up.
I'm sorry?
Give Bowditch your heads up.
Okay.
Do we have any? Do we have any arraignments?
Yeah, there's two not ready yet.
From?
One waiting on PD, one waiting on, Sharon.
Were they at both same department or two different departments? Sure, ask her if she doesn't mind. I mean, otherwise we'll just wait until we take a break and we'll squeeze them in. Sure, that's probably nicer. Mr. Bowditch, I just gave the jury a chance to use the restroom, then we'll get started again. Brian, your first witness?
The lady, in the hallway.
The civilian? Kevin, what's her name?
But I gotta stand up when they walk back.
Marley Allen.
Ellen?
Allen.
Miss Allen?
I know. I know. I just told, he got some prices on the window film. And I don't like the idea of doing window film because you can't adjust it. So I told him to see what he could find about the, the remote control up and downs.
Well, it's way cheaper than remote control.
I know. And there's a reason for that because when you do it, that's it.
Although I think I had my, the GFL, the best stuff I could buy on my windows for about 12 years, and it just
Fell apart.
like, pull it all off. Might be one over here, over here.
Yeah, in the afternoon, anybody up here, it's like, play the game, try to keep it out of your eyes.
Sure, may have a question, but, yeah, sure may have a question, but, yeah. Questions.
Oh, I'm pretty loquacious. I might keep us here all day. Judge, this is a breath of fresh air.
I'm like, my tail's wagging. I just have people to talk to that I don't see every week. No offense, Caitlin.
I gotta say, it is kind of cool that I'm involved with the first case inside of the building.
First real one. We've had a couple mock trials, but this is the first real one.
Is there any way I can get like a transcript or recording of it? I don't know if I don't think my wife's gonna believe me.
All you gotta do is pay her for it.
How much? How much is
It's by the page. Well, if you want a transcript, tell them not to talk so much. I think this is the third day we've had trials on. Isn't it? This is my second round. Judge Martin had one. I don't think Judge Green scheduled one yet, has she?
She had one.
Yeah, so she had, yeah, all right. So this is our fourth attempt to have a trial.
We have 3 that.
Yeah, well, my first day I had 3 scheduled, none of them went. Oh, yeah. And that's the old one. Do you guys know anything about the legal news calendars?
No.
Done, and she was gonna send somebody else with it.
Yeah, we'll have to check it out.
I assumed when I saw it like this, that it was in one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an old one.
We got them? Thanks. Hey, Tim.
So we don't even mention. Should they not hear it?
I'm not gonna.
That's getting worse.
Usually, yeah, the same one before, wasn't it?
Yeah, usually.
I'm gonna ask.
Yeah, that's fine.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Are we going to mention civil?
Generally don't, because it's not on their purview. The question was, are we gonna mention civil infraction? I usually don't.
I thought it doesn't really impact on.
They're not making a decision. I think it's just more prejudicial than probative.
Yeah, I didn't plan on presenting on it.
Yeah. Usually what I've done is after they're all done, we'll deal with that. I mean, I can't imagine that I'm not gonna hear everything I need to hear from the witness stand to make a decision on a formal hearing, but if we have to, we'll do that. Does that work?
We would like the ability to present on that, because I hadn't planned on
No, that's fine.
getting it all into that.
That's fine. I just think it muddies the waters with the jury. There's a Galaxy phone trying to come into my Zoom.
I just removed them. Or do you want me to bring them in?
I clicked this. Connecting. Sometimes, the outside, push that's half cylinder.
Oh, the cylinder's up.
Yeah, sometimes if you push that, then you can't access it from inside. You know what I mean?
No, it's on that one. I bet. Kind of curious. Well, it goes into, right behind that, there's two exits, I believe, into the hallway.
And that's really right.
Yeah, yeah.
Heather,
You know, she ran.
Heather.
tried to Run for judge.
Heather, they're coming in.
She tried to run for judge. She was fun. The only two laws is a cop and prosecutor.
Same chairs, please.
Okay.
Joe, stay right there. I'm gonna swear you in too.
All right, have a seat. Raise your right hand. Do you swear that you will, to the best of your ability, to keep sworn jurors in some private place, that you will not allow anyone to speak with them, and that you will not speak with them except under the court's order, and specifically, you will not ask them if they have reached a verdict, and until they are discharged, you will not communicate to anyone the state of their deliberations or the verdict they have agreed upon?
I do.
Thank you. All right, not you, that wasn't for you.
Oh, that's.
I'm sorry, I wasn't very clear. I wasn't very clear.
That's like
I
trouble.
heard you first thing, but I just thought everything.
I'm sorry. No, that was that was the oath for the court officers.
We're very honest. We're
All right.
honest group, sir.
All right. Okay, so
There you go.
so we're almost to the good stuff where we're gonna have some testimony. But I've got to read some more to you. Some of the stuff you've already heard in the preliminaries, and there's a lot of redundancy, and the idea is the important stuff, you hear it more than once, so hopefully it sticks in. So bear with me while I read. I will now explain some of the legal principles you will need to know and the procedures we will follow in this trial. A trial follows this procedure. First, the prosecutor makes an opening statement where he gives his theories about the case. The defendant's lawyer does not have to make an opening statement, but he may make an opening statement after the prosecutor makes his, or he may wait until later. These statements are not evidence. They are only meant to help you understand how each side views the case. To prove the charges, the prosecutor must prove the following beyond a reasonable doubt. The elements aren't there.
You have to go back up, go out, go all the way up,
Yeah, we gotta fix that.
yeah, go all the way up, and then click the elements.
We gotta do that so it's a plug and play. Bear with me, folks. I told you this first shot with this system. All right, excuse me. The prosecution, no, that's not it either. No, that's not what's under that. Oh, there we go. I clicked the wrong one. That's on me. All right. Referencing the crime of driving while license suspended or revoked. The defendant is charged with the crime of driving while his operator's license is suspended or revoked. To prove this charge, the prosecutor must prove each of the following elements beyond a reasonable doubt. Once again, if you're trying to follow along, this is under the tab that says elements of the crimes charged. First, that the defendant operated a motor vehicle. To operate means to drive or have actual physical control of the vehicle. Second, that the defendant operated the vehicle on a highway or other place open to the general public or generally accessible to motor vehicles, including any designated parking area. Third, that at the time the defendant's operator's license was suspended or revoked. The term motor vehicle is defined in Michigan compiled laws 257.33. I don't think that's an issue with this one. I mean, this wasn't the John Deere tractor issue.
No, Your Honor.
Yeah. A highway is the entire area between the boundary lines of a publicly maintained roadway, any part of which it is open for automobile travel. A private driveway is generally accessible to motor vehicles. Let's see. Jumping down to Michigan Vehicle Code, where it talks about 257.618, accidents, damage to vehicles, stopping required, reporting to police agency or officer. The driver of a vehicle who knows or who has reason to believe that he has been involved in an accident upon a public or private property that is open to travel by the public shall immediately stop his or her vehicle at the scene of the accident and shall remain there until the requirements of section 619 are fulfilled, or immediately report the accident to the nearest or most convenient police agency or officer to fulfill the requirements of section 619A and B. If there is a reasonable and honest belief that remaining at the scene will result in further harm, the stop shall be made without obstructing traffic more than is necessary. If an individual violates the requirements of section 1 and the accident results in damage to a vehicle operated by or attended by an individual, the individual is guilty of a misdemeanor. Jumping down to 619, the driver of a vehicle who knows or who has reason to believe that he or she has been involved in an accident with an individual or another vehicle that is operated or attended by another individual shall do all of the following. A, give his or her name and address, the registration number of the vehicle he is operating, including the name and address of the owner, to a police officer, the individual struck, or the driver or occupants of the vehicle with which he or she has collided. Sub B, exhibit his or her operator's or chauffeur's license to a police officer, individual struck, or the driver or occupants of the vehicle with which he or she has collided. And C, render to any individual injured in the accident reasonable assistance in securing medical aid or arrange for or provide transportation for any injured individual. So now I'm going to go back, if it will allow me to procedural instructions. The prosecutor presents his or her evidence. The prosecutor may call witnesses to testify and may show you exhibits like documents or objects. The defendant's lawyer has the right to cross-examine the prosecutor's witness. And I should have done this. If you're following along, this is under trial procedures, and I'm now moving into paragraph 5. After the prosecutor has presented all his evidence, the defendant's attorney may also offer evidence, but does not have to. By law, the defendant does not have to prove his innocence or produce any evidence. If the defense does call any witnesses, the prosecutor has the right to cross-examine them. The prosecutor may also call witnesses to contradict the testimony of the defense witnesses. After all the evidence has been presented, the prosecutor and the defendant's lawyer will make their closing arguments. Like the opening statements, these are not evidence. They are only meant to help you understand the evidence and the way each side sees the case. You must base your verdict only on the evidence. You have been given a written copy of the instructions. Well, you've given a tablet. You may refer to them during the trial. Since no one can predict the course of a trial, these instructions may change at the end of the trial, and at the close of the trial, I will provide you your tablets so that the final instructions are there for your deliberations. Moving on to function of court and jury, paragraph 1. My responsibilities as the judge in this trial are to make sure that the trial is run fairly and efficiently, to make decisions about evidence, and to instruct you about the law that applies to this case. You must take the law as I give it to you. Nothing I say is meant to reflect my own opinions about the facts of this case. As jurors, you are the ones who will decide this case. Your responsibility as jurors is to decide what the facts of the case are. This is your job and no one else's. You must think about all the evidence and all the testimony, and then decide what each piece of evidence means and how important you think it is. This includes how much you believe what each of the witnesses said. What you decide about any fact in this case is final. When it is time for you to decide the case, you are only allowed to consider the evidence that was admitted in the case. Evidence includes only the sworn testimony of witnesses, the exhibits admitted into evidence, and anything else I tell you to consider as evidence. Moving to page 4. It is your job to decide what the facts of this case are. You must decide which witnesses you believe and how important you think their testimony is. You do not have to accept or reject everything a witness says. You are free to believe all, none, or part of any person's testimony. In deciding which testimony you believe, you should rely on your own common sense and everyday experience. However, in deciding whether you believe a witness's testimony, You must set aside any bias or prejudice you have based on the race, gender, or national origin of the witness. There is no fixed set of rules for judging whether you believe a witness, but it may help you to think about these questions. Was the witness able to see or hear clearly? How long was the witness watching or listening? Was anything else going on that might have distracted the witness? Does the witness seem to have a good memory? How does the witness look and act while testifying? Does the witness seem to be making an honest effort to tell the truth, or does the witness seem to evade the questions or argue with the lawyers? Does the witness's age or maturity affect how you judge his or her testimony? Does the witness have any bias or prejudice or any personal interest in how the case is decided? Have there been any promises, threats, suggestions, or other influences that affect how the witness testifies? In general, does the witness have any special reason to tell the truth or any special reason to lie? All in all, how reasonable does the witness's testimony seem when you think about all the other evidence in the case? The questions the lawyers ask the witnesses are not evidence. Only the answers are evidence. You should not think that something is true just because one of the lawyers asks questions that assume or suggest that it is. I may ask some of the witnesses questions myself. These questions are not meant to reflect my opinion about the evidence. If I ask questions, my only reason would be to ask about things that may not have been fully explored. During the trial, you may think of an important question that would help you understand the facts of this case. You are allowed to ask questions. You should wait to ask the question until after the witness has finished testifying and both sides have finished their questioning. If you still have an important question after this, do not ask it yourself. Raise your hand, write the question down, and pass it to the court officer who will give it to me. Do not show your question to the other jurors. And if you'll, actually, Mr. Fisher, if you don't mind, maybe Mr. Fisher and Ms. Noda, maybe you can hand steno pads to the people behind you, kind of pass those out so everybody has one. If you have a question, there is a question form in that notebook. So you can just write your question down, raise your hand, and I'll take it from there. If your question, excuse me, if your question is not asked, it is because I determined under the law that the question should not be asked. Do not speculate about why the question was not asked. In other words, you should draw no conclusions or inferences about the facts of the case, nor should you speculate about what the answer might have been. Also, in considering the evidence, you should not give greater weight to testimony merely because it was given in answer to questions submitted by members of the jury. If there's a question submitted, the way I handle it, if the question's submitted, both the attorneys will have a chance to look at that question, then I'll call them up for a sidebar and we'll have a discussion. If after that discussion I decide that it will be read or maybe tweaked a little bit so it's possible to present it, then I'll read that question to the witnesses. If I decide after that conversation with the attorneys that that question is not appropriate, at some point at the end of the trial, I'll explain to you why that decision was made. But in the moment, I'm just going to say that's not an appropriate question. We're going to move on. If you cannot hear excuse me, if you cannot hear what a witness or lawyer says, please raise your hand immediately and ask to have the question or answer repeated. During the trial, the lawyers may object to certain questions or statements made by the other lawyers or witnesses. I will rule on these objections according to the law. My rulings for or against one side or the other are not meant to reflect my opinions about the facts of the case. Sometimes the lawyers and I will have discussions out of your hearing. Also, while you're in the jury room, I may have to take care of other matters that have nothing to do with this case. Pay no attention to these interruptions. You must not discuss this case with anyone, including your family or friends. You must not even discuss it with the other jurors until the time comes for you to decide the case. When it is time for you to decide the case, I will send you to the jury room for that purpose. Then you should discuss the case among yourselves, but only in the jury room and only when all the jurors are there. When the trial is over, you may, if you wish, discuss this case with anyone. If I call for a recess during the trial, I will either send you back to the jury room or allow you to leave the courtroom on your own and go about your business. But you must not discuss this case with anyone or let anyone discuss it with you or in your presence. If someone tries to do that, tell him or her to stop and explain that as a juror, you are not allowed to discuss the case. If he or she continues, leave and report the incident to me as soon as you return to court. That's where the court officers become your conduit. You must not talk to the defendant, the lawyers, or the witnesses about anything at all, even if it has nothing to do with this case. It is very important that you only get information about this case in court when you are acting as the jury and when the defendants, excuse me, the defendant, the lawyers, and I are all here. Next thing is, I alluded to earlier as well. Do not go to the scene of the alleged crime. Do not investigate anything about the case on your own or make any experiments. Do not search the internet on your phone to assist in understanding the evidence of this case. You may take notes during the trial if you wish, but of course you don't have to. If you do take notes, you should be careful that it does not distract you from paying attention to the evidence. When you go to the jury room to decide your verdict, you may use your notes to help you remember what happened in the courtroom. If you take notes, do not let anyone except the other jurors see them. And if you're taking notes, if we take a break, just put your notepad on your chair. It'll be right there when you get back. You can see that we've chosen a jury of 7. After you've heard all the evidence and my instructions, we will draw lots to decide which one of you will be dismissed in order to form a jury of 6. Possible penalty should not influence your decision. It is the duty of the judge to fix the penalty within the limits provided by law. I may give you more instructions during the trial, and at the end of the trial, I will give you detailed instructions about the law in this case. You should consider all of my instructions as a connected series. Taken all together, they are the law you must follow. After all of the evidence has been presented and the lawyers have given their arguments, I will give you detailed instructions about the rules of law that apply to this case. Then you will go to the jury room to decide on your verdict. A verdict must be unanimous. That means that every juror must agree on it, and it must reflect the individual decision of each juror. It is important for you to keep an open mind and not make a decision about anything in this case until you go to the jury room to decide the case. And playing with my screen. Mr. Foley, opening?
Yes, Your Honor. I was hoping that time. That's nice.
Yes.
That's nice. First, good morning again. My name is Kevin Foley. I'm the township attorney for Huron Township. With the judge and Mr. Bowditch, I do want to thank you for your service. It's important to not only people of the township, but certainly Mr. Radke. The evidence today will show that sometime prior to 7 a.m. in the morning on February 19th, 2021, that the defendant, Mr. Robert Gerald Radke, drove his 2008 GMC pickup truck into the ditch in front of 28724 West Road in Huron Township. Now, it's not a violation of law to drive your pickup truck or anything else into a ditch. Thank you. However, it is against the law to not report that vehicle accident and leave the scene of the property damage incident, which the evidence will show Mr. Radke did. He did not report, he left. Although Mr. Radke knew that he had been in an accident, he left the scene without either waiting for the police or contacting the police, which the statute requires that the court went over with you and that be on your tablet. The evidence will also show that on the date in question, on February 19th, 2021, that Mr. Radke was operating his pickup truck on West Road in the township of Huron. His operator's license was suspended by the Secretary of State. That is in evidence. We will publish that to the jury in our case in chief. We have the certified copy from the Secretary of State. So on evidence was shown on February 19th, he was a suspended driver, driving in the township of Huron, putting his truck in a ditch and taking off. At the conclusion of the evidence, we will ask you to so find and to find Mr. Radke guilty of those offenses. Thank you.
Mr. Bowditch, opening now or later?
Oh, Your Honor, I'll take advantage of the opening now.
Okay.
Get up for you, Mr. Bowditch.
Oh, thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think I need the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, the judge explained to you about reasonable doubt. And that's what this is all about today. A doubt, if you have a doubt as far as the way something happened, we consider it reasonable because the reason we chose you 7 citizens was because Mr. Foley and I and the judge all considered you reasonable people. So the first part of your responsibilities today have been met. You got 7 reasonable people. Now, as you hear the prosecutor's testimony through their witnesses, if you believe that everything happened exactly the way they're testifying, then they're really easy. But as they're testifying, and as you hear Mr. Radke testify, which you will, if you think That, ladies and gentlemen, is doubt. And if you have that doubt, then you carry it into the jury. And then you discuss with all the other individuals if they have that same doubt. If they do, you must overcome all of that before you can find Mr. Radke guilty. Because the standard says that you must decide beyond a reasonable doubt. Every word in the law means something. They could have said you could decide if you don't have a reasonable doubt. But instead, they use the word beyond. Beyond means it's furtherance. So it's not only whether there's a it could happen, but you have to go beyond that because the law dictates. So you must be relatively certain in your own minds it happened exactly the way it's being testified to. Or then you have doubt, and you must overcome that before you can find it. I will thank you in advance for your kind attention. Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. Ready for a witness?
Yeah, Judge.
Miss Allen, all the way up front with me, please. Watch your step over here on this ramp. Would you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth today? All right, come right over here, make yourself comfortable on that chair. Mr. Foley, your witness.
Ms. Allen, could you state your name and spell it, please, for the record?
Yes, Marilee R. Allen. Spell it.
Please.
Marallee, middle initial R, last name Allen, Allen.
Does that work, Heather? Okay. Hey, ma'am, can you tell us your address, please?
28724 West Road, New Boston, Michigan.
Okay, in New Boston, Michigan, that's in Huron Township?
Yes.
Or is Huron Township, depending on your perspective. And on February 19th, 2021, about what time did you wake up that morning?
I want to say it was probably around close to 8 o'clock, somewhere in there.
Okay, and was there something in your yard that wasn't there the night before?
Yeah, yes.
And ma'am, what was in your yard that wasn't there the night before?
There was a truck in our ditch.
Okay, and can you describe the ditch for the jury?
It's, it can swallow a whole vehicle, a pretty large vehicle. Our ditches are very deep.
Okay, and is the road there in front of your home, is that paved or unpaved?
It is a dirt road.
Okay. And do you remember what kind of vehicle it was?
A pickup truck, like a 4x4.
Okay, and specifically in your ditch, where was it in the ditch?
The ditch that is in front of our house, it would be like right in the center between, I want to say between the two culverts. We have two pieces of adjoining property, so we have two driveways. So it was in between the two driveways.
Okay, and for the jury, a culvert is a way over the ditch for your driveway.
Yes, yep, it's your driveway approach.
Had you ever seen that vehicle before, Ms. Allen?
No.
And at some point that morning, did you approach the vehicle?
Yes, I was worried because it looked like there was plastic hanging down, and I thought airbags went off. So I ran out there to see like if anybody was in there. I was worried.
Okay, was anyone in the vehicle?
No.
And what condition was the vehicle in, ma'am?
Well, like it was rusty on the hood. I don't know what do you mean by, it was laying on the driver's side kind of like this, kind of cockeyed in the ditch.
Were the
But
airbags deployed?
Yes,
Other than the vehicle, did the driver leave anything else?
yes,
And
yes.
what
When I
was it?
got to my door, there was a note on my side door explaining that he'd be back and left his name and phone number.
Okay, and do you recall what name was left?
No, no.
Okay.
No, I gave that piece of paper to the officer that came by later that day after 2:00.
Okay, once you saw the note and saw the truck, did you do anything? Did you contact the police department or anything?
No.
And why not?
As long as I knew it didn't damage my property and that there was no one hurt. It looked like there were footprints in the snow, so they obviously were able to walk. I mean, they weren't injured. So
Okay, did you know, were there two sets of footprints or one set of footprints? Do
I
you
only
recall?
saw one, but
Okay. And did the driver come back later that afternoon?
yes, he did exactly when he said he would, because he mentioned a time like 2:00-ish.
Okay, and do you see the driver, the person that came back in the courtroom today?
Where am I supposed to be looking at?
Well, you can look anywhere, but,
Oh, okay. Yes,
okay, and can you identify the driver from February of 2021? Can you point him out?
yes, I think so.
Okay, and what's he wearing
Then or now?
right now?
He's got a T-shirt with a skull and the American flag on it.
Okay, and he's sitting next to Mr. Bowditch?
Hi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your Honor, we'd like the record to reflect that she's identified the defendant. Mr.
Noted.
Radke. Okay. And when Mr. Radke came back to your house, did you talk about the crash or the truck?
A little bit. I mean, he was concerned that, I would be upset, and he was very polite, and he said, I promise I'll have this out of your way. I'm arranging for, a tow or whatever. And I said, well, I'm just glad to know there was somebody alive that walked away from that, because
Did he
it
tell you
looked
how the
concerning.
truck got into the ditch?
Yeah, he reached for a pack of cigarettes.
So he said that he was driving the vehicle?
Well, I assumed because he said he was reaching down for a pack of cigarettes, he was on his way home from work.
Okay. Did he tell you that anyone else was in the vehicle with him?
No.
And what happened next?
After we talked,
Yes, ma'am.
I think he went and made a phone call because he had a ride drop him off, so, and she left, and then he made a phone call or something for his tow truck.
Okay, but in
I
some
went
time,
back in my house because I had just gotten back from snowshoeing with a friend.
okay, and sometime did the Huron Township Police Department arrive?
Yes, I'm trying to think of the timeline, but I was watching out the window, and after this gentleman left, there was a white truck that pulled up and was looking at the truck in the ditch, and he must have called for the police. So I'm assuming it was an unmarked township truck.
Okay, and you talked to the officer?
Yeah, they
subsequent-
came up to the house.
Okay,
Asked if I knew anything, and
that's all the questions I have for Ms. Allen at this time. Thank you, Ms. Allen.
Mr.
Mr.
Bowditch.
Bowditch may have a couple of questions.
Ms. Allen,
Mhm.
I speak pretty loudly, but sometimes not clear. So if there's anything you don't understand from my question, ma'am, just tell me, I'll ask it again, all right?
Sure.
When you woke up in the morning, ma'am, and you went and saw this vehicle in your ditch,
Mhm.
is that the first time you had ever seen that vehicle?
Yes.
And when you approached, there was nobody in it?
No.
So you never saw who was driving the vehicle?
No.
All right. And it did no damage to your property?
No.
All right. Now, you're claiming that it was snowing on that
That night it had snowed, yeah.
day. Roads were snow covered?
Yes.
Dirt roads are snow covered and things happen. Now, Do you know when the note was put on the door?
I'm assuming shortly after he had mentioned it was 5:30 when he was driving home from work, so I imagine it's shortly
And you
after that.
remember him specifically saying he was driving home from work?
Yes.
All right. And the note indicated that this gentleman, you're assuming it was a gentleman, was going to pick up the truck later on.
Yeah, he left his name and phone number, so.
Right.
Yeah, I knew it was a
Now,
gentleman.
did you then call him?
No,
So even though he left his phone number, you did nothing after that?
no, he said he'd be back,
All right.
and I wanted to go snowshoe.
And you, yes, ma'am.
Sorry.
Perfect. And you told him, or you told the court that whatever he indicated on the note, that he did precisely.
Yeah, he
He came
did.
back exactly. And you also said he was very polite and very
Yes,
apologetic
yes,
about having this debris in your ditch.
yes, that's correct.
Now, you also testified, ma'am, that you went out and you observed this pickup truck. And again, you heard the testimony, a little rusty, a little rusty. Did you see any damage to the vehicle other than age?
Not really, no.
The front end wasn't all pushed in? It wasn't steaming, nothing like that?
No.
And you said it was sitting somewhat on its side?
Yeah,
Did they have any trouble extricating it from the ditch?
yeah, kinda.
Because it's a big ditch.
It's a big ditch, yeah, and there was a lot of snow.
I live out there.
Yeah.
It's a big ditch.
Yeah.
My road was dirt for years. Thanks to Mr. Foley, they paved it. Welcome, I guess. You also said, ma'am, that you assumed Mr. Radke was driving.
Right,
But did Mr. Radke ever tell you he was driving?
yes.
And what did he say?
I was driving home from work.
But specifically, you're saying he was driving home from work.
Right.
All right. Now, when the officers came on the scene, now, was Mr. Radke there?
No.
What time did the officers arrive? Do you remember?
I know it was after 2, because it wasn't that much longer after Mr. Radke left to go arrange his tow.
So they only missed each other by a few moments?
Maybe a half hour.
All right.
Yeah, something like that.
All right. 1 second. All right. Thank you, ma'am. I have no further questions.
You're welcome.
People have no further questions, that's what it's on, I think.
Can we excuse Miss Allen?
We can.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Miss Allen, thank you so much for your time. Watch your step on
Thank
the
you.
ramp.
Good luck.
Thank you. You're welcome to stick around if you'd like to.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Thanks, Dean. Your Honor, the people who called dispatcher Amanda Ayat.
All the way up front, please. Watch your step on the ramp. Raise your right hand. Swear affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth today. Have a seat right here. Settle in that chair. State your name.
Name is Amanda Hyatt.
Okay, and Ms. Ayat, I'm gonna have to ask you to keep your voice up because we have masks and I know talking with you before you don't project well, so if you can keep your voice up. And Ms. Ayat, how are you employed?
I'm a dispatcher at Huron Township Police Department.
And how long have you been a dispatcher for the Huron Township Police Department?
Over 2.5 years now.
And Ms. Ayat, were you on duty on February 19th, 2021?
Yes.
And what shift were you on?
Days,
Okay, and what specifically is day shift for this?
7 AM to 7 PM.
Do you work 12-hour shifts?
Yes,
And did you take a call that day relative to a vehicle in a ditch?
yes.
Okay, and what was that call?
That there's a vehicle in a ditch, on West Road.
Okay, do you know who that call was from?
The first caller, no.
And after that call, what did you as a dispatcher do?
Dispatched Officer Castoni to the scene of the vehicle.
Okay, and do you know about what time that was?
Approximately 3 PM.
And was there a subsequent call relative to that truck in the ditch?
Yes,
Yeah, and what was that call, ma'am?
it was Mr. Radke saying that he had put his vehicle or truck into the ditch.
Okay, and how do you know that it was Mr. Radke telling you that he put his truck in the ditch?
Because he said that I put my truck in the ditch.
Oh, I said my truck. And are all your emergency dispatch calls recorded?
Yes,
Was that call that you testified to from Mr. Radke recorded?
yes,
And do you have access to those tapes?
yes,
And are you aware that a copy of that conversation was made for this trial?
yes,
And you've listened to it. Is that a true and exact copy of the conversation that took place on February 19th, 2021 between Mr. Radke and you?
yes.
Your Honor, we'd like to publish that.
Mr. Bowditch, any objection to that being?
No
made?
objection, Your Honor.
With the new technology, we're going to try to play it on the laptop through the microphone and hopefully everyone will hear it.
Yes, I put my truck in the ditch earlier and I was called and told that the cops were taking it. Yeah, it is being towed. I mean, I talked to the homeowner, she was okay with everything. It happened this morning and I'm in the process of getting a truck now to come out and get it. Okay, one second, let me see. I know the tow truck's already in route. I think they've arrived. The one.
Did everyone hear that okay? Your Honor, I guess we'd move for admission of that sound bite.
No objection.
That'll be admitted. People number 2.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I don't know
That's
how
all
we
the
mark
questions I have. Are the plaintiffs on 1s and 2s or A's and B's?
1s and 2s.
Okay. That's all the questions I have for dispatcher I had at this time. Mr. Bowditch, wait, no, Mr. Bowditch.
Mr. Bowditch, your witness.
Your Honor, I don't believe I have any questions.
Okay. You can step down. Is she free to leave?
From my perspective, she is.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you for your time. Enjoy your day.
Nice to meet you. Your Honor, we would call Corporal Brian Castelny.
Come on up, Corporal. Swear to affirm to tell the truth, all the truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Watch your step.
Corporal Castelny, can you state and spell your name, please?
My name is Corporal Brian Castelny. It's going to be B-R-I-A-N. My last name is going to be K-O-S-T-I-E-L-N-E-Y.
And kind of a dumb question, but how are you occupied,
I'm a
Corporal?
police officer with Huron Township since 1999.
And just briefly, what are your duties as a police officer with Huron Township since 1999?
They varied over the years, but right now I'm just assigned to road patrol, which is handling calls out in the Huron Township on road duty.
Were you on road duty on February 19th, 2021 at approximately 3 p.m.?
Yes,
And were you in a fully marked police vehicle?
yes,
And at about that time, you dispatched the scene of a motor vehicle accident?
yes,
And was that within Huron Township?
yes.
And where was the accident, Corporal?
28724 West Road.
And can you describe West Road? Is that a paved road, unpaved road?
Dirt road, county road.
And when you arrived, could you describe what you found?
There was a pickup truck facing westbound on West Road, and it was between Inkster and Middle Belt, and it would have been on the north side of the road in a large ditch in front of that residence.
And did you investigate the vehicle?
Yes.
And was there any damage to the vehicle?
Yes, I first observed all the airbags were deployed in the vehicle, including the side curtains and the driver's side airbag. There was damage to the front end. It wasn't significant damage, but the hood was kind of ajar on it, and maybe the bottom bumper cover was damaged. Where it struck the, I guess, the side of the culvert of the ditch, like where the ditch goes back up for the culvert.
And did you make contact with the homeowner?
Yes.
And that was Ms. Allen who testified earlier?
Yes.
And did she provide you with a number that the driver had left?
Yes.
And did you contact that number?
Yes.
And who was it that you contacted, Corporal?
I believe it was Mr. Radke.
Did he indicate that it was Mr. Radke?
Yes.
Okay. Did Mr. Radke tell you what happened?
He said that he was, I don't remember if he said he was driving to work or from work, but he said that he was driving and the truck went in the ditch.
So did he say that he was driving the truck?
Yes.
Did Mr. Radke indicate that there was anyone else in the truck with him?
Not at the time.
Did Mr. Radke indicate that he was not driving, that someone else was driving his truck for him?
It proceeded into that when I said that he'd be getting a citation.
Okay, let's back up. So when first you spoke with him, he indicated he was driving the truck. Is that correct?
Yes.
At some time, did his position change?
Yes.
Okay, what did you say to him or with him that made him change that position?
I told him I was going to issue a citation for leaving the scene of a property damage accident and for driving while license suspended.
And after you advised him of that, did he decide that he was not driving the vehicle?
Yes.
And who did he tell you was driving the vehicle?
He said, I do believe he said it was one of his friends or coworkers. I don't remember. I think it was a coworker, actually.
Okay, and did you ask who that coworker was?
I did.
And did he tell you who it was?
He said he would prefer not to say.
At some point, did you verify the defendant's driving status?
Yes.
And on February 19th, 2021, what was the defendant's driving status?
Suspended.
And based on your investigation and discussions with Mr. Radke, what did you do?
I went ahead and issued a citation for the driving while license suspended and for the leaving the scene of an accident, and I mailed it to him.
I have no further questions of the corporal.
Apologies, Your Honor.
No problem. Mr. Bowditch, questions for the corporal?
Yes. Corporal, did you write the report on that day?
Yes, I did.
And was the report accurate on that day?
I believe so.
Do you have a copy of that report?
I do on the desk over there.
The officer, see a copy of it?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes, yes.
Thank you.
Corporal, if you would refer to the narrative of your report. Can you find in the paragraph where you spoke to Mr. Radke, where you wrote down that he told you he was first driving the vehicle?
I put contact suspect via TX, which means telephone. I called the listed number and made contact with the suspect. He advised he did not understand why an accident report needed to be made. He advised he did not have any insurance on the vehicle. I explained to him a report needed to be made due to the value of the airbags being deployed. He advised me only the driver's side airbag deployed from the accident. He advised the other airbags were just deployed by themselves in his driveway due to the cold. The suspect then told me that he was not driving the vehicle, but it was a coworker. When I asked for the coworker's name, he advised me he did not wish to provide me with that information. I advised him I needed to know who was driving the vehicle to complete a crash report. The suspect became agitated and kept asking why it had to be such a big deal. I told the suspect to return my call with the driver's information as soon as possible. Is that the section you're referring to?
Yes, sir. So at no point did he tell you he was driving?
I do believe when we started the conversation, he referred to it as as I.
But you didn't indicate that in your report.
Correct.
All right. But you did indicate later in your report that he indicated to you that he wasn't driving.
Correct.
All right. Now you're assuming that it was because you told him that he was in trouble.
Correct.
All right. But that's an assumption.
Correct.
Now, at some point, when Mr. Radke told you he wasn't the driver, you felt it your duty to investigate that.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
At some point, when Mr. Radke told you that he was not the driver on that day, you chose to investigate that.
Correct.
Because you asked Mr. Radke to provide to you the name of the driver.
Yes.
And he was reluctant.
Yes.
All right. And you told him, if I'm correct, that he needed to do that so you could finish your report.
Yes, the crash report.
And you said that you would give him a certain amount of time to accomplish that.
You know, I don't recall if I mentioned a time frame or not. I'm not positive on that.
But at some point in time, you gave him the ability to tell you who it was.
Yeah, when I was on the phone with him.
Right. This was approximately 3 o'clock.
You know what? I'm saying it might have been more closer to 4 o'clock because that was after I already cleared the scene on West Road and went back to the station because I called them from the police department. So give it a little time afterwards for the tow truck to get the truck out of the ditch, get it loaded up, and for me to drive back to the station.
All right. And then at some point in time, you did tell Mr. Radke to provide you information.
Yes.
Do you know what time, according to your report, you issued citations?
You know, according to my report, I issued them the following day.
All right, and you had not heard from Mr. Radke?
Yes, I did not.
See that report?
Yes, sir.
I want to keep using my phone. And this happened on the 19th of February, right?
Correct.
So according to this, you wrote your report on the 19th?
Believe so. I believe it was that same day.
All right, and it said at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
So when you told Mr. Radke to get back with you, you waited about an hour.
I don't understand what you're saying. I wrote the citations the next day. I'm not sure what you're asking.
Well, now, according to that report, you wrote your report on the same day. So you wrote the report on the 19th that you had issued citations.
You know what? We can go. I think I see what you're saying. So the report is saying that we can unfinalize the report and finalize our report. I'm assuming I probably went ahead and went into the next day and added that to the report. I don't think I wrote it all on the same day.
At the end, you may have indicated that citations were issued on the writing of the report. I may be in there.
Well, I put follow-up on 2/20, which would be the next day. Then after I do my reports chronologically, after the heading of follow-up is when I issue the citation.
All right. So you would have issued the citations the next day.
Correct.
And you had not heard from Mr. Radke.
No.
All right. But at 5 o'clock on that day, on the 19th, you had said that you were going to issue those citations.
Oh, I said I had to make a crash report when I spoke with him on the phone.
All right. Now, officer, this is a silly question, but it must be asked. You never saw Mr. Radke drive that truck?
No.
No one that you know of ever saw Mr. Radke drive that truck?
No.
All right. Thank you, officer. I didn't make a question.
Mr. Foley.
Corporal Castellani, you issued tickets for leaving the scene of a property damage accident and driving license suspended, is that correct?
Correct.
And sir, if you believed that Mr. Radke did not drive while his license was suspended, that someone else was driving, would you have issued that citation?
No.
Likewise, if you believe that he didn't leave the scene of a property damage accident because he wasn't operating, that someone else was, would you have issued that citation?
No.
So sir, did you believe that there was this other driver involved?
No.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Any recross, Mr. Bowditch?
Just one. But there was a point in time when you were unsure because you were investigating, true?
Well, I mean, I always go ahead and try to do the fullest investigation I can.
So at one point, you were still, for at least 24 hours, you were investigating.
I mean, I was open to the idea. I mean, I'm not saying it right off the bat what happened. I mean, I was
All
open
right.
to the idea.
All right, thank you, officer. Nothing further. Your Honor.
Corporal, you can step down. Watch your step. Mr. Foley, anything else from the people?
Your Honor, we'd like to publish the Secretary of State certified driving record.
And I think there's already been Mr. Bowditch, there's already been a stipulation that the
There's
driving
already
record
been a
was in?
stipulation, Your Honor.
All right.
And perhaps we can stipulate to the dates of the suspension, Mr. Bowditch,
Yes, sir.
if I can find them in these new reports.
I hate the new reports.
I hate the new reports.
They made them more difficult to read.
I don't think anybody knows how to read them.
Okay, if you look at the final page, it has a failure to comply suspension on November 9th, 2020, and then an FAC FCJ termination on April 13th, 2021. So he was suspended from November 9th, 2020 through April 13th, 2021, and this crash was in February of 2021.
Agreed, Mr. Bowditch?
Agreed, Your Honor.
Thank you. You can publish.
People rest.
Mr. Bowditch?
At this time, Your Honor, I would like to call Robert Radke to the stand, please.
Mr. Radke, come on up. Watch your step on my ramp. Raise your right hand. Swear firm, tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
Settle in.
Sir, would you state your name for the record with the correct spelling of your last name?
Robert Gerald Radke, Radtke.
Mr. Radke, are you aware of the events that bring us to court today?
Yes,
On February 19th, where were you? Let's start in the morning.
what time?
As early as you could remember.
I usually wake up around 4:15. At this time, I was getting a ride to work So-
Why were you getting rides to work?
because I didn't have a license.
I see.
And my truck had no insurance or plates on it at the time. Work was real shoddy due to, COVID and everything.
All right, so you wake up at around 4. What time does your ride arrive?
Usually right around 5 o'clock, right on the dot, usually.
All right, and where do you work, sir?
It's called Broza, New Boston. It's located right off of 275 at the
Right
South
behind
Carolina.
Charlie's and-
Right behind Champs
Yes.
Landing, Yep, right behind.
And how long have you worked?
Be 6.5 years right now.
What is the normal route you go to work?
When I drive, I take Inkster to Van Horn till it ends, till it turns into Hare River Drive, and then around Michigan Memorial Park, and then to Bell, and then I usually stop at Chaps and into Bros.
All right. Now, when you're riding with a companion, what is the route they take?
Same one.
Same one?
Yep.
Do you ever take West Road to work?
No.
Why?
Because it's dirt. And Van Horn it's a straight shot and it's all pavement.
All right. On this particular day, did you arrive at work
Yes.
safely?
Yep.
And you were a passenger.
Yes.
What happened when you arrived at work that relates to this incident?
Shortly after arriving to work, I got a call from a good friend of mine. The first words out of his mouth, he was like, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, just at work. Why? What's up?" He said, "Your truck's in a ditch." I said, "It shouldn't be. It was in my driveway when I left. I don't see He said, no, it's in a ditch, it's yours. Well, I've known him for a long time, so he knew it was my truck. So when he arrived to work, we went from my job back to where he said it was at, and sure as day, it's my truck.
Now, Mr. Gregg, were you surprised that your truck was in a ditch?
Cool. Everything that was going on at home, no, I was not at all.
Then why weren't you surprised?
Because my wife's car was stolen a month before. I have a copy of the police report of that. And there was she had two roommates move into her room. We had a mess going on at home, just an absolute mess. Her friends that had introduced her to drugs, and it was just.
Were there
It was awful.
strangers living in your home?
Yes.
Well,
Well, I was
strangers.
constantly throwing them out, and then I'd wake up and they'd be there, and then we'd argue, and yeah, it was a mess.
All right, where were the keys for your truck?
You know, I never checked the look, but in the cabinet, like right when you walk in our door, there's a cabinet. And that's where my spare keys was and my wife's spare keys. They were both in there.
All right. Now, when you left your residence in the morning, was your truck there?
Yes, right where it always was.
All right. And what time was it when your friend called you and said your truck was in a ditch?
Slightly after, just barely after 5:30.
How long had you been at work at the time? If you remember?
I don't know, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so. Not very long.
All right. So then what did you do next, if anything?
From where?
You hear your truck's in the ditch. What did you do next, if anything?
He took me back to where he said it was at, and yep, that's exactly what it was. My truck sitting there.
And what did you do next, if anything?
Went up to it, looked inside of it. There was no keys in it. Driver's side passenger, the driver's side airbag in the steering wheel, nor the one on the dashboard, neither one of those went off. The only ones that had went off were the side ones, and the right rear side one had already been off. I don't know why, but it already had. It was like that probably about a week prior. I just kind of stuffed it back in there. So I checked it out. Could have swore I left a note on the truck and on the homeowner's door claiming that I'd be back.
But you did write a note.
I did, yeah, two to my best of my knowledge. This was like a year ago, so.
Yeah, 11 months. So, when you put a note on the homeowner's door?
Yes, with my name and phone number,
In
stating
note,
that was my truck and that I will be back to get it.
In that note, did you tell her that you were driving the truck?
No,
Were you driving the truck?
no.
All right. So when you came back later on and spoke with Miss Allen,
Yes.
now Miss Allen testified that you told her that you were driving and you were on your way home from work, and that you had reached to pick up some cigarettes and had gone into the ditch. Is that true?
No, there must have been some sort of miscommunication because at that time I would have been on my way to work. And I've been on days for 6 years, never anything different.
All right. Because at one point she did testify that she assumed you were the driver because of the way you spoke. But you weren't.
No.
All right. What happened next, if anything?
Well, I worked my full day at work, and then I got a ride from a coworker back to the truck again. I spoke with the homeowner and let her know that I'd be back to get it. And I asked her if she assumed anything was damaged. She said no. I said, okay. So I started to go home, and then I got a call from my mom. I was actually walking. I started walking home, and I got a call from my mom as I was walking on Inkster Road, saying that they're going to tow your truck. Well, they're towing your truck. And I turned around and I'm like, I was just there. I don't understand.
So what time do you believe you arrived at Miss Allen's?
Like about two, it was right after work, 2:30ish.
So you worked from early in the morning till early in the afternoon?
6 to 2 typically, yeah.
6 to 2. And Miss Allen was very complimentary of the fact that you were there right on time. Now, we did hear a dispatch message. And in that message, you seemed to claim that you were the driver.
I was in the middle of arguing with my mom, my wife, the roommate that was there. I must have misspoke. I mean, because true enough, that was my truck in the ditch. Absolutely, I can't deny that. But I don't know. I must have just misspoke.
How long have you been getting rides to work?
On and off. I just got my license back in 2018, and I haven't had any issues since then. This is the first one. And I so I don't know about at that point because it's hard to remember. It was a year ago. Just a few months at that point. Wasn't very long.
Did you do this every day?
Typically, yeah.
All right, because you both work at the same place.
Right.
Mr. Radke, do you have any idea who's driving?
I'm more than sure it was one of my wife's friends. More than positive, because my keys still haven't turned up. I put a couple kill switches on my truck so nobody can take it now, but
Do you believe, not to get too personal, but do you believe at one time it might have been your wife?
I did it first. I honestly did it first, but she's a bad liar, so I figured she would have came forward by now, because she's been clean now. I dropped her off in Illinois back in May, and she's been clean ever since then. And I know she is, because we work together, we're together all day, every day, so I know she is now.
So she's successfully recovered.
Oh, yeah, it's like a different person.
Would that have been why you were reluctant to tell the police officers about the driving?
At first, I really did think it was her, because I know that my keys were hanging on my belt, just like always, like my ID is in there, my social security card, my work ID, my mailbox key, my house, it's all on my keys. And I know that I had them, because I don't ever not have them.
Thank you, sir. I don't believe I have any further questions at this point.
Mr. Foley, your witness.
Mr. Radke, how are you?
I've been better.
Why did you lie to Mrs. Allen, Ms. Allen, and tell her that you were driving the vehicle?
I don't recall telling her that I was driving. I really don't.
Why did you lie to dispatcher IA when you told her you were driving the vehicle?
I think I just meant to say my truck is in the ditch. I don't.
You heard the tape, right?
I did hear the tape.
In the
It was a
tape,
very
in the
stressful
tape, you said,
situation
I
going on."
put my truck in the ditch, correct?
Like I said, I heard what I said, but it was a very high stressful
And-
situation. I had a lot going on.
Who are you now claiming you're almost certain was driving the vehicle?
I have no idea. Like I said, I have copies of police reports where my wife's car was stolen just a month before.
So sitting here today, you have no idea who took that truck with your keys and put it in the ditch, correct?
If I knew, I would have reported it stolen.
Okay, then how come when Officer Castelny asked you who was driving, you said, oh, it was a coworker, but I don't want to get them in trouble?
I never said it was a coworker. I don't want to get them in trouble. I said, I don't know who was driving. Whoever was, wasn't me.
You testified that you had some troubles back in 2018, and that was your only driving concerns, correct?
No, that's not. I've definitely had issues with my license. I didn't have a license for 8 years or so. I got it back in 2018.
Okay, and since 2018, this is the first incident?
I had a ticket for expired plate, but that was it.
Okay, and you didn't pay the ticket, so you were suspended, right?
Again, there was an issue there. I'd given my wife the money to pay it. This is when we started to have issues.
You
I'd
were-
given her the money to pay it, and she never did.
You were suspended, correct?
Yes, I was suspended. That's why I wasn't driving.
And you didn't have insurance on the truck, is that correct?
I did not, no.
So sitting here today, the statements you made to Ms. Allen was a mistake.
I never made that statement.
You never told Ms. Allen that you were driving the vehicle.
No.
Okay, how about the 911?
And she said that I was driving home from work when that was impossible. I would have been driving to work.
How about the 911 call, the emergency dispatch, when you said, I put my truck in the ditch, that also was just a mistake?
Yes, that was a mistake. Obviously I said that. Like I said, it was a high stressful situation. My mom was yapping at me, I was yelling at my wife.
Isn't it true, Mr.
Radke,
I'm sorry, that you were willing to take responsibility until Corporal Castelny told you that if you were driving, you were leaving the scene of a property damage accident and a suspended ticket?
No. The conversation started much the same way of my truck is in the ditch.
I'm sorry, did I ask a question? You didn't respond to?
I apologize.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Any redirect, Mr. Bowditch?
Yes, Your Honor, just to continue Mr. Radke's thought. Mr. Radke, how did the conversation begin when you first approached the officer, or when the officer approached you?
I can't remember if he called me or if I called him.
This was not face-to-face, this was by phone,
Yes, this was through the phone.
and you were home at the time.
Yes, that's what my mom was there, my wife was there.
And everyone is aware of what's happening and surrounding you during this phone call.
Yeah, it was very hostile at the moment.
All right. How did do you remember that conversation?
Vaguely, yes.
Of what you remember, how did it begin?
I answered the phone. He said, I can't remember his name. I apologize. But, Huron Police Department, I said, yes. I said, and he asked me if that was my truck in the ditch, and I said, yes, it is. He asked me if I was driving. I said, no. He said, well, then who was? I said, I couldn't tell you. Honestly, I don't. Trying to figure that out myself. He asked me why I didn't report it stolen, and I said, well, it's there. I can't. I know where it's at. Again, I was under the impression that my wife was driving it at the moment, so I didn't know what to do. She was already in a world of trouble, and I didn't know what to do.
All right. But you never told the officer you were driving?
No.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Radke.
Recross?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Radke, you can step down.
Thank you.
Your Honor, defense rests.
Thank you. Any rebuttal, Mr. Foley?
None, Your Honor.
I'm looking at the time. I suspect, just procedurally, this is what's going to happen. The attorneys get a chance to do closing arguments. Then the attorneys and I are going to have a conversation about final instructions. Sometimes the way the testimony comes through, certain jury instructions make sense to use, certain instructions don't. So we kind of fine tune the final instructions. Heather will can't say that. Heather will upload those final instructions so you can see them on your tablet. And then I'll present those to you and send you into deliberation. I'm going to guess that we could probably have you ready to deliberate between 60 and 90 minutes from now. It's your call whether or not we break it all for lunch or if I just keep you working. Completely your call. If you want to have a chance, I'll let you go back and talk about it as a group, or if you want me to, I'll just kind of pull you right now and see what your thoughts are. Any preference? Yeah, if you're comfortable with it. If you'd like to just keep working so we can get you home at the end of the day as soon as we can, raise your hand. Okay, well, all right. So I'm assuming that means Mr. Pavlik might want to eat before you feel strongly both ways? Okay, all right. All right, so at this point, I'm going to let the attorneys do their closing statements. Then I'm going to give you a short recess while we hash out our final instructions. Well, actually, it'll be a little bit more than a short recess. We'll hash out our final instructions. I'll present those to Heather. She'll upload everything on the website. Then I'll bring you back in, read you those final instructions, and then send you back to make the decision. Okay? If we're okay with that time frame? Anybody need a break now? Closing arguments? Okay, gentlemen.
For those of you who have been to Frank Murphy, this ain't Frank Murphy, thankfully. Those who haven't, congratulations. Quite frankly, when we got started, I indicated that the evidence was going to show certain things. And that included that on February 19th, 2021, that Mr. Radke put his truck in a ditch here in Township. First off, when he wasn't a licensed driver. To that element or to that ticket, you now have a certified copy from the Secretary of State that we've all agreed that at the time of this incident on February 19th, that Mr. Radke was suspended. The judge will go over the elements with you, but basically, if you are suspended in Michigan and you operate a motor vehicle, that vehicle is operated on a open space or a highway, byway of the state of Michigan, and that your license is suspended, that you're guilty of driving while license suspended. So we have whether or not Mr. Radke operated, I guess, is the real question. And that takes us to the leaving the scene of a property damage accident. And once again, I know that it's on your tablets there, but the requirement is that I need to show, as the people, that Mr. Radke knew or had reason to know that he was involved in a accident, that it occurred upon a private or public property, private property open to the public, like West Road, that he immediately stopped his vehicle at the scene and report it, or that he seek out and report it to police officers, giving his name and address and exhibiting his driver's license, which he didn't have. So once again, the elements to that, his truck's in the ditch. There was damage to it. The bags were deployed. The front of the vehicle was damaged. So once again, my burden, the main burden, is whether or not he operated that vehicle. And I guess whether or not he operated it comes down to whether you believe him when he spoke to Mrs. Allen, Ms. Allen, whether you believe him when he called the emergency dispatch and said, I put my truck in the ditch, or whether you believe him when he talked to Officer Corporal Castelny and said I was driving the vehicle, or if you believe him today when he says, I wasn't driving, someone stole my truck, don't know who it is, don't have the keys, I wouldn't do that, I got rides all over. Well, you know, he told the corporal that a co-worker was operating his truck, but he only told the corporal that after the corporal told him, you're in trouble. You know, it is a big deal. You left the scene of a property damage accident, you're driving with a suspended license, this is a big deal for you. And then all of a sudden, well, I wasn't driving, some other guy driving. We didn't get the story, the corporal didn't get the story about, yeah, someone stole my truck and I'm having problems at home and I hang up my keys here. And no, he said a coworker was driving the truck. So the corporal said, who's the coworker? If someone else is driving, give that person up. I don't want to do that. Okay. Did the corporal believe him? No. But quite frankly, you give everyone the benefit of the doubt. The report was written on the 19th, into the 20th, tickets were issued thereafter. So once again, it's my burden to prove beyond a reasonable doubt the elements of this case. And I think that the only one that's really in play here is whether or not Mr. Radke was operating the vehicle. And quite frankly, I'm not going to convict him. He's going to convict himself because he told 3 different people that he was operating his vehicle and he put it in the ditch. Story changes now, truth doesn't change. We would ask that after you consider the evidence and go through the pieces, if you will, of the charges, that you come back with guilty on both. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Bowditch.
Thank you, Ron. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the prosecutor played a little loose with the facts that we've heard. According to the report that the officer read to you, Mr. Radke never told him that he was driving the vehicle. He read the report he wrote. The first conversation about the driver was when Mr. Radke said, oh, by the way, I wasn't driving that car. So, and then when it comes to Miss Allen, if you listen closely to her testimony, Mr. Radke, very polite, on time, went back and said, ma'am, my car's in the ditch. Now there was something about a pack of cigarettes or something, but even in her testimony, she said, well, I assumed he was driving. So there wasn't that direct conversation. Now we have the dispatch tape. As Mr. Bradkey claimed, and I think Mr. Bradkey testified honestly and openly, didn't seem evasive at all. Seemed to know exactly what he was saying. He's in his house. His wife is in the throes of addiction. And he's talking to a police officer on the phone, not in person, on the phone about what happened. And he said, you know, I put my truck in the ditch. Now, what would motivate him to say that if he wasn't driving? Could it be the fact that it could have been his wife? Could it be the fact that one of his friends, these unwanted people that lived in his home because of these issues that his house had at the time, been corrected, thank God. But the only thing that puts Mr. Bradkey directly behind the wheel is one singular comment when talking to the police officers on the phone. No one in this building has ever seen Mr. Bradkey behind him. So there's no direct evidence that Mr. Bradkey was ever driving this vehicle. And the number one element in all these offenses was that Mr. Bradkey was behind the wheel. Now, if you're satisfied that these circumstances, that these comments are enough to put him behind the wheel, well, then it's right that you could convict him. But if there is any doubt in your mind that maybe it happened the way Mr. Bradkey said it happened, well, ladies and gentlemen, that's doubt. And you must, as a body, get over all that doubt before you can find him guilty. And the doubt is, no one ever saw him drive a vehicle, ever. There is only one comment ever made that he was. So I would ask you to weigh that evidence and then make a decision. Ladies, and gentlemen, you've been attentive. Mr. Bradkey and I thank you. And Mr. Bradkey and I will respond appropriately to your decision. Thank you.
Rebuttal.
Thank you, Your Honor. I put my vehicle in the ditch. That's it. Mr. Radke put his vehicle in the ditch. He was operating. Thank you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. All right, so I'm gonna have the court officers put you in the deliberation room. We'll go over the instructions. We'll get those all ready for you as soon as we can. If you need anything when you're in there, just let the court officer know. Mr. Radke, you can stay, you can walk to the courtroom, courthouse, whatever. We're just gonna talk instructions right now.
Okay, can I go to my truck real quick?
Sure, yeah, no problem. All right, gentlemen, no, you can take a break too if you want. All right, I'm looking at final instructions, that section, page 1, duties of judge and jury. On page 1, I don't see any changes necessary.
I'm stuck on, should I open this on Siri? Oh, sure. Oh, thank you. There was a special instruction.
So go to page 2, if you can get there. Defendant not testifying, defendant impeachment, both of those get scratched.
Yes.
I think evidence as it shows on the tablet, I think that whole section 1 through 9 is appropriate as is.
Appears to be your honor, we agree.
All right, moving on to page 3. I don't see any changes there.
Nope.
Page 4, the elements. We've already read those through. We'll do that again. Page 5, time and place, deliberations and verdict, penalty, communications with court. I think that's all okay. Agreed?
I think it seems complete, your honor.
And then page 6, the only change would be, and I'll let you two look at this, is instead of single defendant, single count, I'll just read the verdict form instruction. Yeah, look that over. Seems fairly straightforward.
I approve.
All right.
I approve your opinion.
All right, is there anything beyond those instructions? We're satisfied with those? All right, so you guys can take a break and we'll see how fast Heather can make this happen.
All right, thank you.
Oh, last thing is in the past, I've given the option, and if either side says, let's pull the alternate off, I'll pull. But if you're both okay with it, I'll send in a jury of 7. I think it works to your benefit. I think it works against him. It's one more person. It could be a holdup. But I at this point, I watched, we had a pretty attentive group of 7. So I like to send them all back if the attorneys are okay with it. But if anybody says no, that's fine.
We object.
Yeah, I would if I was in your shoes. Yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah, that would too. All right. We'll get this done as soon as we can.
All right, thank you. Okay, no, that's fine. But I'll tell you, I'm one of those guys, when my doctor, my pharmacist said get vaccinated, I walked into Walmart with these screws all up my pants. I said, I got everything you ever read. And I've never been touched. Well, even I am I'm a lifelong expert. So, and he's a co-professional also. I was and it seems to be working. Yeah, I still have a hard time riding this elevator. Dan, the court officer, when I used to work, we talk about how we refuse to go to the steps. And it's difficult for me to stand in that elevator. But, and then he and Jimmy Matter got vaccinated. Oh, Jamie's so fast. kids, in-laws. Well, it hasn't affected me. Oh, we don't. And that was after your first or your second? No, I had both. It must be this new stream, which I think is gonna be a godsend to us all, because it'll give us all. Now, I have my oldest son now, said he had trouble. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't really know that I had it until I lost my Yeah, he's a really brother. But, you know, except for my oldest son, Kobe, of course, I live on a farm. Self-quarantining seems second nature. Well, you have no friends. Well, no, I mean, that's, I'm gonna bring that up. I'll let you bring it up to the show. I won't. And then you're set, come on. I'm just saying. I do. This would have been a good one. That would have been. In reference. No.
Did what you said you wanted me to do.
I think these will get back to you too.
Oh, thank you.
He's a good change. Were they speaking?
Yes, yeah, I got it.
Oh, cool. That's why they need rock.
Let's see if you have to update. See, it's gone. Do I just go back? So like do that, final instructions, and that was on page 2, defendant not testifying. Not updated.
You know, and what he does, in these last couple of years, he hasn't made it to Christmas. Yeah, so. Maybe sold up. Yeah. I used to bring all the time. But, Mr. Beverly?
Page 2, yep, we're down to just evidence. So should I take everything I can and refresh it? Yeah. Okay.
Next.
If you don't mind.
Yeah.
Leo.
He sold the house and an acre and kept 14 acres.
Heather, is there a way to cut the feed since we're broadcasting live?
No. Wait a